Welcome to Fear Coded, a podcast where we talk about media from the horror genre and take a queer reading of a single book, video game, film, podcast, or TV show to explore just how queer horror can be. And in this episode, we are braving the Midnight Realm as we discuss the 2024 film I Saw the TV Glow, written and directed by Jane Schoenbrunn. I'm David.
I'm Marilee.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Doug.
That's right. It's our imaginary friend that we met at Sleepaway Camp who we contacted from the psychic plane. And you don't even have your learner's permit, Doug.
I don't.
Welcome to Fear Coded.
It's funny because I actually don't have a driver's license. I had one briefly and then let it lapse. So it is true, in fact, that I don't have a learner's permit or an actual permit.
That's excellent. I didn't even mean for that joke to work, so that's even better. Doug, your voice probably is not new to folks who have explored other Glitterjaw shows. Where might folks have heard or know about you from?
Yeah, if you listen to Glitterjaw stuff, you've probably heard me somewhere. You could be listening to me weekly on Walloping Web Snappers, which is a Spider-Man thing, or a couple times a month on Novel Gaming, which is a books and video games thing, or on Screonk once or twice a month, which is a Godzilla thing. But I also recognize, since you guys do something very specific, it's entirely possible people have never heard me before at all, which is exciting.
It's thrilling to me to think that this might be somebody's first Doug, because
it could be.
There's so much more Doug to go.
Yeah.
Truly.
Especially based on what we're talking about. It very easily could be somebody's first Doug.
One could say that this is like Doug's series premiere, but not that Doug that we're all thinking of, which would have aired around the same time as The Pink Opaque.
True.
No, you go to jail for that. I did not. That was no. Oh gosh, Doug, you've been podcasting for a fair bit of time. So thank you so much for joining us and being one of the first few guests that we've had here on Fear Coded.
Oh hell yeah.
Well, sometimes the media we engage with feels more real than real life. So before we get started talking about I Saw the TV Glow, I want to check in and say hello to our guest and my co-hosts on how things are going for all of them in the landscape of horrors that our real world has to offer. What is making y'all scared, or what's making you feel prepared? Doug, as our guest, we'd love to start with you.
Yeah, mine is so low stakes, and I love that for me, but I am feeling a little scared because if this is folks' first Doug, this year has been like the year of Doug going to the movie theater more than he should. And so I had a friend who challenged me to see 100 movies in the theater, and I hit it. I did. I'm over 100 now. But as a result, it's changed my brain chemistry to where, like, if I even remotely want to see a movie, I'm like, I can see that. And so I should see that. Mm-hmm. And so now I end up in positions where I'm like, if I want to see this, I have to see it today or I'm going to miss it. And so today, after this recording, after we've talked about this very light movie, I'm going to see 3 movies, one of which starts at 10:15 p.m. So I'm scared for my own wellness, is the case.
Buddy, why? Why was this the choice you've made for yourself?
Well, the one that is most relevant, I think, to what you all do here is The Substance. I really want to see.
Oh.
Like, that is the one that I'm like, I must see this movie, and it is only playing once a day at 12:15 p.m. And I was like, if I'm going to the movie theater at 12:15 p.m., I'm seeing more than one movie. So there were a couple other things that I was like, I might not be able to catch this, or this is playing early, and that's fun. So we're going to do it. And it's going to be great. And I'm going to live through it. Probably.
You are.
We believe in you.
I'm
Thank you
so
much.
Wildly jealous of your journey, Doug. I have watched this with so much envy in my heart. I always wanted to be the person who prioritized seeing movies. And I'm like so happy for you. I really love it. I really love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun.
Are you a snacks at the movie kind of person, or is that something you are able to resist? Because I think that the pass would pay for itself, but I would end up paying in popcorn. I truly would.
That's what they're hoping for, right? Is you go to the movie theater more often because you're not paying for the ticket, but you're paying for concessions. I recognize that, and so I'm able to resist snacks from the movie theater, and also it's in a big outdoor shopping center, which for some reason Northeast Ohio loves, despite weather. And so there are lots of restaurants around that I can eat for far less cash money than buying a single bag of popcorn.
Yeah, I love that.
But today I won't. Today I'll need snacks in the theater.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, we said that we were going to do this in our intro episode, and then we never did. So, Doug, how do you feel about cilantro and roller coasters?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm surprised that this hasn't come up more because I was so prepared when I heard this.
Uh-huh.
I like roller coasters, and I can and enjoy cilantro. I can eat it, and I enjoy it.
Well, and how do you feel
I
about
love
horror
scary
movies? Yeah,
So I think I
Okay.
support your theory if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, because I'm a sometimes roller coasters, and sometimes horror movies, but always cilantro. Tyler
Sure.
likes all of the above, and
Yeah.
David has mixed feelings.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I will say I had to build up to roller coasters and I had to build up to horror movies.
Mhm.
And I imagine as a child I didn't like cilantro, so it's possible. The journey ahead is an optimistic one for you, David.
Wow. Nature versus nurture here
Exactly.
at work. I love it.
This
I love
transformation that we're going to talk about in the
Oh,
podcast.
transformation, you
Yeah.
say.
Mhm, mhm.
It's truly relatable across all the different spectrums.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
Marilee, I can't believe you breathed life into that. I was like, oh, good. We're not going to talk about cilantro. And then here you were being like, clear. And
No,
you
I'm
brought it right
thrilled
on
you
back.
did. I'm so
Oh my
thrilled
God.
you did because when I heard that theory, I was like, I think I'm a valuable data point.
You are. I appreciate it. We're gonna have to tweet about Doug and Cass when we get to their episodes live
yeah.
because simply forgot.
Well, then, Tyler, what about you? Are you feeling scared or prepared?
I must say, I am feeling scared.
Double scaredies. Why?
Double scaredies. So I hurt my knee, like going on 2 weeks ago. Thankfully, it's slowly healing, but I am a very annoying person in that when I am injured or sick, I want to pretend that I'm not. So I'm still up and moving around, and my extremely beloved partner, who is very, very patient, had a very stern but loving conversation with me the other day after my knee buckled a little bit and
Oh,
said,
good.
I love you, but you have to wear this brace if you want to feel better. And if you don't, I will kill you.
And you will
That's
never
healthy.
feel better again because you'll be dead.
So I'm wearing my
Healthy
brace
relationship.
and everything
Yay.
is fine. But I am just really scared about, like, I've never had like a prolonged injury before that
Mhm.
necessitated a brace or anything like that. So I'm just like going through the motions of experiencing this sort of thing for the first time, and also just kind of like reckoning with being unable to control something, because I'm also very much like I need to control everything to try and keep anxiety low.
Sure.
So yeah,
Relatable.
yeah, very much so. Marilee, how are you feeling? Prepared or scared?
I unfortunately I must break the sequence here because I continuing my journey through breakfast pastries and prepared today because I had some turnovers. They were
Yes. What kind? I must know.
I had an apple and a cherry, and they were fantastic.
Beautiful place to start.
Yeah, I'm an apple girly through and through. And it's just those beautiful warming flavors. They make me so happy, and also cherries just delicious.
Oh yeah.
So good.
In
In a turnover, perfect.
I had some turnovers for breakfast. I mean, they were just from the grocery store. They weren't from like a fancy pastry place or anything. But like even still, I feel a zest for life coming from these delicious baked goods.
That's so beautiful.
Marilee, I'm so happy anytime you bring up a baked good. Truly and honestly,
For real.
they prepare us all. I'm
Agreed.
so happy about it. I love it. And you're not alone, Marilee, because I too am prepared in a rare change of form from my usual scaredy cat behavior. And I've been sitting on this one, not for very long. I could have used it last episode, but I knew that we were going to have Doug on. And I thought,
my goodness.
let me get another week of this to make sure that this actually sticks.
Mhm.
But I am putting together bricks in a long-standing plan, and I'm feeling prepared because I have convinced the Arnold household, which is really just my husband, that we should start watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh,
David, this is a bomb dropped directly on my heart. Oh
And
my
I
goodness.
Have not texted Doug about this. Doug is learning this real time.
I
because
am.
Doug made this recommendation when we recorded about Survivor Dawn Meehan for Are You My Mother?
Yeah.
Almost a
It's
year
a great
ago now.
episode, by the way. A fantastic.
so much
It's one of my
fun.
favorites from the first season of Are You My Mother? I don't know anything about Survivor. I've never watched it. So, like, listening to this really interesting conversation about, like, the intense politics of this show I've never even thought about, it was one of the most interesting hours of my life.
It's
And
still truly one
Marilee-
of the most ridiculous things I feel like I've done, but I loved it.
And Doug brought the household into Survivor, but we ran out. And while there are new seasons of Survivor, and they are wonderful, Mike likes to have something on. And so we dipped our toes in a couple other realities, and I was like, when is the time to convince him that RuPaul's Drag Race was the way to go? And that time was now almost a month ago. And we have made our way through... we have made our way through 5 seasons. We started at the beginning when they put Vaseline on a small handheld camcorder.
And you made it through to another season after that.
We made it through. I am so happy about it. And this is all in an ultimate goal because when we had Shudder for a week, I watched an episode of Dragula and Mike was like, I don't like this. And I was like, no. What I need to do is I need to create a plan to get him into this. And I think I am setting myself up for success that I can get him to watch Dragula with me if I can get through a couple more seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah, I mean, you've reached the point. I will say, you've watched 5 seasons. Did you watch them in order?
Yes.
You're in my favorite stretch of Drag Race, and you've also gotten to the point where like Drag Race has dabbled its tiny little toe, its petite, beautiful nail polished toe into horror. So you've got a little bit of a gateway into alternative drag here.
I am so excited about it. So thank you for letting me share this. Sorry to fans of the podcast. You didn't get to hear me talk about this on our X-Files episode. And sorry to past guest Cass, who I would also have been very excited about this news. But when we recorded with Cass, I was like, I don't know if this is going to take or not because we were in season 1. And Mike was given a hairy eyeball. I will say I messaged some people I felt like I had confidence with. Does Rue ever stop laughing at the beginning and end of commercial breaks? And I have learned that's constant. Yeah. And I thought that might be a deal breaker, but Mike now laughs with Rue.
Oh, okay.
Every
I was
time
gonna
it
say,
comes
if
on.
this is a problem in your household, I have a problem with your household.
No, he now will just, and I can only do it visually for the folks on the Zoom call, but he will just go every time the laugh plays.
Amazing.
It's incredible.
That's kind of perfect.
Yeah. Also, apology directed at me for not having texted me for a whole month about RuPaul's Drag Race. You can make it up to me by telling me all your thoughts later today.
Oh, we're going to do it, Doug. We are going to do it.
How do I get invited to that conversation?
We will, you know what, we'll just make a Discord about it, Marilee.
Yeah.
We'll just have some RuPaul talk.
That works. Incredible.
Well, today we're not talking about drag performance today. We are certainly talking about the queer lived experience, though, because we are talking about the film I Saw the TV Glow. This is a 2024 psychological horror drama written and directed by trans and non-binary filmmaker Jane Schoenbrunn. The film ostensibly is about isolated teenagers Owen and Maddie who bond over the young adult television series The Pink Opaque.
But when Maddie goes missing and The Pink Opaque is canceled after 5 seasons, Owen is left alone to navigate young adulthood without her. One night, Maddie reappears, asking Owen about his memories of The Pink Opaque and making a heavy claim. She and Owen are the characters from the show who have been trapped in a pocket universe by The Pink Opaque's villain. Maddie tells Owen about a way out so that they could start season 6 of their show, but Owen loses his nerve and never sees Maddie again.
Time skips forward, and in the final scenes of the film, the audience is left with many more questions as we finally see an aged Owen in 2026 and have a final confrontation with the world that he is living in before the film closes out. What's everyone's experience with I Saw the TV Glow? Doug, you specifically wanted to come on and discuss this, so let's start with you.
I did. So this is my gift and my fault at the same time. In my journey to see a bunch of movies, I became aware of like all these movies I never would have noticed had I not been in the theater watching trailers, seeing all this sort of stuff. And so I saw this when it came out. Like I saw this that opening weekend, and I was so affected by it. I went back that same week and saw it again. And, you know, before we hit record, everybody on this call to some extent basically said, like, I needed to talk to somebody about this after I watched it. And that is how I felt. And nobody had seen it. And so I've been waiting. The reason I think I was talking to you, Marilee, probably very shortly after I saw it, and probably just said, like, I need to talk to this movie or talk about this movie with somebody. So if you ever cover this, I would be thrilled to come on. And I've been waiting ever since to talk to somebody about this movie. So it truly is just one that hit me really hard and then hit me even harder the second time. And I've just been waiting to talk to folks about it, you know, who've seen it and experienced it and have had time to sit with it.
Yeah, like Doug though, this was I didn't know that this was coming. I don't remember seeing advertisements for this, and probably a good thing because now that I have watched the film, I watched the trailer. And this is really a movie that I think benefits from not having seen the trailer for.
Oh,
if I'm being honest, it wasn't my favorite cut together trailer. I think it just gave away too much. And I immediately after watching this posted to Twitter that I watched it, and somebody replied and just said thumbs up emoji, thumbs down emoji, and I was like almost boiling at the idea of being given a binary choice to recommend this movie. And my sort of feedback was like, everyone should see this movie, but I'm nowhere close to being able to answer the question of like thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm just not even close to having an answer to that, but everyone should see this.
Yeah, no, agree. I have to say, I really like the teaser.
Really? Okay.
I unlike you guys, I saw the teaser the day that it was dropped. Like, it just, I saw it on TikTok and I had to like Google it like immediately afterwards. Like, they hadn't even posted the teaser to YouTube yet. Like, I saw it immediately and I was instantly entranced.
Yeah, same.
I thought, like, it looked incredible. I'm a huge Justice Smith fan. Like, I think that he's so good at picking projects. And I thought it was going to be, like, a Candle Cove kind of situation. And I was, like, there for it. I was really interested in, like, seeing what, like, this really cool aesthetic Candle Cove Justice Smith thing was about. And that's just... It is a different vibe that I was expecting. I like it a lot more for it, though.
Yeah, Marilee, I actually had a similar experience to you, where I remember seeing the trailer one evening while I was looking up A24 trailers. Just because, you know, A24, they so often, like, they put out such amazing trailers. And I thought this looked fantastic, but it wasn't very high on my radar, because I kind of had the same reaction to you, where I was just like, oh, Justice Smith is doing, like, a Candle Cove creepypasta sort of movie. I didn't know who Jane Schoenbrunn was. I didn't know anything about this besides what I saw in the trailer. And I just, you know, I saw it the other day and I came away so pleased with how it is very similar to like a creepypasta kind of skeleton, but it's so much more than that. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed it as a result.
Yeah.
One of the things, David, that really hooked me when I saw the trailer the first time, like the reason I couldn't get it out of my head was the music specifically they use in the trailer. Oh my God, obsessed with it, love it. Listen to both of those tracks over and over. Will be on my Spotify playlist or Spotify Wrapped or whatever that's called. And then just like the weird imagery, I was like, this is everything I want, I think. And it turned out to be pretty true.
Yeah, didn't they include that cover of Anthems for a 17-Year-Old Girl in the trailer?
Oh, yeah. And it's like such a loud trailer with such like kind of gentle imagery at the same time. So, I thought that was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we talked a little about the imagery, Tyler. Does that contribute to any of the themes that we've got going on for this movie?
So I'm really glad that you asked that, because we actually do focus quite a bit on the imagery when we're discussing the thematics for this movie. One of these themes that I want to discuss today and kind of keep in mind as we just go on with our conversation is this idea of surreal psychological horror. So in the context of media, surreality is this idea, or really a feeling, that reality has shifted into something unnatural. Dreamlike logic and magical realism are accepted as the norm, but protagonists and the audience themselves are aware that something is just off. A really fantastic example of surreal filmmaking comes, of course, from David Lynch. Lynch is one of the world's greatest and, quote, weirdest filmmakers, according to the general opinion in the world of film criticism. He often tells stories with uniquely unsettling scene composition and filming style, very reminiscent of a dream. Psychological horror is a subgenre of horror and psychological fiction with a particular focus on mental, emotional, and psychological states to frighten, disturb, or unsettle its audience. We saw an example of psychological horror in the original Psycho from Alfred Hitchcock. When we put these two subgenres together, we are looking at a theme where we deploy a unique and unsettling film style to have the audience question reality. I think that idea of questioning reality, of course, being very much a theme and part of the overall thesis of this film. In addition to that, we also have suburban horror. Suburban horror takes the lead in its juxtaposition of cookie-cutter houses and well-manicured lawns against knife-wielding killers and nefarious plans to eradicate any whiff of autonomy for the inhabitants. The horror of conformity invades every aspect of the story. Again, you can look to the works of David Lynch for further examples of suburban horror. I really appreciate that Schoenbrunn takes elements of style from various media. We have David Lynch, of course, but we also have 90s young adult supernatural series like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, as well as just sort of like oddball kind of like 90s live action shows aimed at children like The Adventures of Pete and Pete or The Secret Life of Alex Mack, and blends these together into something unique. And then, as is so often the case in Lynchian style surreal horror, the ideal suburban landscape hides a sinister secret underneath. So we see this suburban land that Owen and Maddie live in, and while parts of it do look kind of like quiet and some might even say picturesque, we know that this is all hiding some very dark secret about our protagonists' identities that someone or something is trying to keep hidden.
Nicely put.
Thank you.
Doug, you've really evolved your film analysis because you've watched so many
Oh boy.
movies now, right? Like, but I think what's interesting is that I think about watching this with like my Midwestern aunt. And I think when I think about Lynchian surreal horror, I think about her poking me and being like, why are there empty shopping carts? Why are there no fish in the fish tank? And so there's so much that's, I couldn't find a better way to say this. There's so much that's like, quote, wrong about the scenes that we see that are actually there to give us a sense of unease. And I really liked that about this presentation.
But to me, they feel so close to reality that it's almost like two images only a pixel off. Because like the shopping cart thing that you brought up, like, yeah, there's something odd about it when you see it, but at the same time, I can walk down the street and see like shopping carts where they're not supposed to be, you know? So like that just slightly off of it, or everything visually in this movie looks like a place I could drive to in 10 minutes, you know? Like the suburb they live in looks like so many Ohio suburbs I've been to, or houses I've been to, with the garage on the bottom and the sort of brick plus siding situation. Yeah, it all looks so familiar.
It's Americana at its finest, which we know hides a horror beneath it. It's just wonderful, wonderful situation.
Seriously.
Yeah, Doug, I'm actually really curious about that because you seem to kind of live in this land that Schoenbrunn, picked very purposefully to communicate that. Do you think that there's something going on with like this combination of surreality and how we can encounter the surreal in our real life that makes the movie more impactful?
Yeah, I think there's something in, even though it's real, and even though you can look at it and see it and people experience it, I do think there is something kind of surreal about an American suburb just in general. And the more time you spend in it, and the more sort of orderly and the more sort of patterned it all feels, I think the more crafted and unnatural it feels. And when you are something that doesn't fit into that pattern, or doesn't feel like you were crafted, quote, correctly, and you are forced to be in that environment, I think you start to feel like something is off, and that surreality is part of either who you are or where you are, or at least part of the relationship between the two.
That's so cool.
Totally agree.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that we evaluate here, and like like I'll think a lot of you, we all wanted to talk about this immediately after watching it. I went to Reddit. We'll decide later if that was a mistake or not. Is this horror? And wow, there is a lot of debate in reviews and comments about the film that question if this is rightly placed as an entry in the horror genre. I have my own strong opinions, but how do you all feel like the film meets or misses the consideration as a horror film? Doug, let's start with you.
Yeah, so what's interesting is Jane Schoenbrunn has answered this very question probably a bajillion times, but I saw them talking about it, and it was an interesting answer because it wasn't what I expected. I think what they said was to the effect of, I wouldn't describe it as horror, but I can't not put horror into everything I make. So in that regard, sure, there is horror here. And I think they were basically saying that they grew up with it, they're so entrenched with it that it would be difficult, regardless of the story they're telling, to not incorporate those things they grew up with or those themes that they're so sort of surrounded by.
That's a really interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
I would still say it's horror, though, if you're asking me.
Well, good.
I think there's an existential dread, which I qualify as horror.
Yeah, like personally, and for me, this has to count as horror. This has to count as horror to me because it made me feel like I was puking up fire ants spiritually. Yeah. And if this does not count, I do not know what does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it's the like final 5 minutes are so etched in this sort of it's like deeper than existential, which sounds like the most pretentious thing I've ever said. I should be smoking a clove right now. But like in the soul of everything that I am, watching Justice Smith perform and everyone around him shut down like robots was terrifying to me. And so I have no place to put this but a horror film.
I'm very much in agreement with all of you. I think this is horror. I think it's very much leaning heavily on it being existential horror. I think part of the reason why I really love, getting to talk about horror, and especially like queer horror with other queer people and other people who are just like really into talking about movies and TV and all that, is because we can go a little bit beyond the expectations of genre or like what a mainstream expectation of what a horror movie should be, which again, I sound extremely pretentious saying that, but I think one of the reasons why this podcast is so great is that, we could share that information and not teach people, but engage with other people to discuss like, okay, well, just because there's not a jump scare happening every 5 minutes doesn't mean that this isn't horror. I think also something that's so great about art is how when you're exposed to it and you engage with it, you build up empathy. And I think this is a movie that is very much dependent on how much empathy do you have for people who are different from you, or how much empathy you have for people that are extremely, extremely similar to you. And because we develop that empathy, the things that happen to the characters in the movie become much more impactful. And so when Justice Smith's character has kind of an emotional meltdown at the end of the movie, you feel that very, 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 very strongly, because we can either understand the place that his character is in, or we have felt that exact same feeling in our own lives. And so we feel that anxiety and fear because we know what that feels like.
Yeah. Well, empathy is going to be really important for my next question then, Tyler, which is this movie queer? Let's discuss the movie and the concepts that we have set forth in queer theory. Do you all think that this movie might have a queer meaning behind it?
Doug, please enlighten us.
It's wild. I hadn't even considered this. I think for a few reasons, I think even if you are the straightest straight, whoever straighted, watching only straight things, and you somehow encountered this, and only ever wore straight goggles, I think it would be foolish to not walk away calling this queer, even at a baseline. I mean, this is a film made by a queer person. There is a queer character explicitly in here, and it is a main character that our protagonist interacts with and is trying to relate to and sort of figure out. So even if you don't see all of the thematic stuff that we're seeing sort of naturally or inherently, I think to not call this queer would be like willful ignorance. And then there are all those other layers to it that you can kind of just keep sort of digging into thematically that might not be literal, or might not be explicit, or might not be fed to you with a spoon, but that are absolutely there and that absolutely relate to so many queer experiences. And I don't even think it's just one, like I think I've been seeing people sort of debating about like, what is the one thing this movie is about? And I just think that's also kind of willfully ignorant.
Yeah. Yeah. I read some contemporary reviews like right when the film came out that were about how this was just about nostalgia. And when I finished reading the review, I thought it feels offensive that you didn't talk about a queer reading of this film. Like, because I agree with Doug. I think you almost have to go out of your way to avoid it. Because it is so on the nose. I mean, we're talking about characters who talk about feeling forced to conform. We talk about characters who feel different from everyone else, and everyone can tell they're different, but they don't have the language to give it purpose. And if you've had a conversation with anyone who has come out as gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, or otherwise queer, those are lived experiences that are shared very frequently for this population.
I mean, I think that if you are not seeing a queer reading, I would love for you to examine that, because at the baseline, there is a textual trans relationship between Owen and Isabel, because like the movie is telling you that Owen is Isabel, and I don't understand how you could look at that in text in the film and not see that this is a woman who is in this nightmare realm a guy. Like, I feel like I'm missing something, how you miss that.
I could see how there are people who would watch this who have very little exposure or experience with any sort of trans stories or gender non-conforming stories, or people who wouldn't necessarily walk away being like, oh, Justice Smith's character is Isabel, or is a woman or a girl or whatever. But I do think they all still see Justice Smith wearing a dress in this and feeling some type of way about it.
Yes.
So even if you walk away not necessarily like David, you were talking about knowing language or knowing exactly how to describe things, even if you don't have that, you have to walk away sort of with the mindset of like, oh, that was a person doing a weird thing, and that's weird. And like that's the willful ignorance to me.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great way to put it, because I was just thinking too, like, even if you did not know what being trans is, it's hard to not see that there is some gender play at work here. And so, especially like David, you mentioned reading contemporary reviews and them not mentioning anything about that. That is really kind of shocking to me, that even like on a surface level, we have this disjunction between Justice Smith being Isabel in the Pink Opaque and Justice Smith wearing a dress and walking onto a football field and recreating the image that we saw at the very beginning of the movie where Isabel is in a dress walking on a football field, and not say that there is some gender discussion present in the film. I think that is willful ignorance. And I think it also kind of goes back to what I was just describing, where it's like the more you engage with art, the more empathetic you become, because we're understanding the different experiences that people live through. I think those people who don't really, see that should, like Marilee said, maybe examine that.
Yeah, I genuinely, and like, I know that this is going to sound a little condescending, but like, I would genuinely love to know, if you watch this film and you don't see that, like, what do you think the movie is trying to tell you when you have those things happening? Like, because I can't see it. Like, my perspective is my own. I would love to know what you have to say, because I can't imagine not seeing that. You know what I mean?
I think the slight opening that somebody could walk through to get to that point that none of us are ending at is that the dynamic between Owen and Maddie, and how Owen feels about the things Maddie is saying. And if you are somebody in the audience who's buying wholesale into Owen's rejection of Maddie, and you don't examine anything else, then I think you walk away being like, oh yeah, everything Maddie said was crazy. You know what I mean?
Okay, but if everything that Maddie said was crazy, then what is with the TV glow that Owen sees occasionally? Like, how did he, cut himself open and see that?
Mhm.
And like, why is he like vomiting dirt and Luna juice? Like, what are you seeing that's not this?
Yeah, I would be
Yeah.
curious about that too. Like asking somebody like what because I imagine the answer is like I didn't think about it. It was just kind of scary. You know what I mean? So like
Mhm.
I think it's one of those things where I would love to ask somebody like you're saying like what did you think? Like why did the director put that in there? You know,
Yeah.
it's like those types of questions. Tyler, I think that's exactly what you're talking about. The more art you consume, the more questions you kind of ask, and by result, have to find the answers. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to defend takes that aren't mine, but Marilee, when you're having a really strong mental health day, let me know and I'll send you to the A24 subreddit. And,
Oh no.
there are.
Boy,
people
I don't know that I'm ever going to be strong enough for that.
Listen.
I just started hearing the Kill Bill siren.
Oh god.
I'm simply not God's strongest soldier, and I will not do that, I don't think.
Ugh.
on the other side of the coin, I will say a lot of the reviews I mentioned that did notice the trans allegory pointed out how strong the color palette was into encouraging you thinking about this. And patoo, sorry, Shonen Burn, I am colorblind and none of it affected me, but I still got the message.
David, I'm so bummed. It's so vibrant and it's so clear and it's so
I'm sorry.
But,
it's just not,
I mean,
like,
fortunately, there's like plenty of other stuff in the movie, so it's not like the sole thing. You know, like fortunately, hopefully, I should say, I don't have your experience, but hopefully, it wasn't completely a miss because of that.
Oh no. It was, and I will say that even for me, and I lose a lot of like subtle in between colors. It was still a very gorgeous film. I could tell that we were in Lynchtown. I could tell that this was a very Lynchian film. But it didn't like. I never got like, oh, the parachute is the trans flag. Like
Sure.
that wouldn't have made its way to me.
Gotcha.
But I love that. Like as soon as you're starting to read like queer reviews of this, it's like number 2 or 3 paragraph. They're bringing this thing up, and I was delighted to read about color theory. That was a blast for me.
To me, that's one of the things, Marilee, that like I can see why people wouldn't think about that, but like my gut reaction is like the color though. Like if you can see the colors, how do you not notice the colors? Because so many movies now are so dull and lit so darkly that like it's hard not to notice. I imagine even if you can't make out the colors, that things are lit very dramatically.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so to be confronted with a bright pink Owen versus a bright blue father, like I think you just have to not ask questions about art to not think about some of these things, which plenty of people don't do, unfortunately.
I guess. I mean, like, my one thing with like the color thing is, if you are the kind of person who is missing, I don't know that you know what like the trans flag colors are, or
Sure.
if you've ever even considered a color even one time. I guess.
But pink and blue.
I know. It's so right. It's literally the text of the film. It's what the movie is about.
And
Unless you're David.
but see what Doug just did is he deepened my appreciation of the film, because I didn't know when we got the shot of the father that blue was over his face, and that deepens my experience because I do know what the symbolism of blue is about. I just can't see it unless I pause the video and get out my color selection tool. And this is not a film that I felt comfortable just pausing and being like, what colors are going on right now? Because I was usually in my feelings.
Honestly, though, David, I feel like I don't know what number watch
Like
it would be,
7th
but I
viewing.
do feel like at a certain point, like that would actually be a really valuable, cool
Yeah.
thing. I would like to do that for myself. Like I think that would be really cool.
Let's do it together. It will take many hours.
Yeah,
'cause
I
it
think
is a
I
slow process.
recently like unfollowed Cinema Palettes for some reason that I can't tell to you because I don't remember. But this film would make beautiful Cinema Palette tweets.
Well, then let's start talking beat by beat of the film and its beautiful color palette. I will just ask all of you as my friends to let me know if there's any big color moments that I missed, because I put together these show notes, so there's no color talk.
Cool.
Well, the film opens on a suburban street, cutting inside to a young Owen changing channels, finally landing on an advertisement for the Pink Opaque, which shows one of the characters, Isabel, on a football field waving to the camera. We hear the characters in the advertisement talk about the Drain Lords who can't hurt you if you don't think about them. Young Owen is instantly connected with the series. We cut to a group of children who are playing with a parachute in a gymnasium. Underneath the parachute, young Owen stands alone, and the parachute gives way to the opening title, I Saw the TV Glow.
So, David, this is one of those moments where it's like, color significance, color significance. As Doug touched on really quickly, the parachute is in trans pride colors.
Excellent.
Yeah, Doug, I'm actually really curious to hear what you think of the beginning of this film, because it immediately is throwing us into like the real crux of what we're going to be experiencing for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things. I mean, it switches to a few things really quickly. I mean, you see the chalk art at the beginning, which won't feel significant until later. But you see that chalk art, you see the ice cream truck, and then you see the commercial. And I do think, David, one of the color things is that the TV is only pink when Owen is watching the pink opaque. And there are a lot of things about Owen's experience with the pink opaque that are specifically highlighted in pink, which, you know, makes sense based on the name, but also all the themes. And there is a shot that I love so much when Owen is walking underneath the parachute that specifically stops and lingers when blue, pink, and white are the only colors on screen, because there is purple as well. There's a purple stripe. And so he like pauses and you can tell that the camera is centering on him. And there's a cool thing that this director does where they want you to notice certain stuff in like moving shots, and this is the first one. And so I think it kind of cues you in, Tyler, to the type of stuff you should be looking at, and sort of like how Owen might interact with the world around him and the things that he notices or doesn't notice.
Mm-hmm.
I think not noticing stuff is going to be a theme that we're going to talk about a lot.
Yeah.
The cut to the title card was, I guess, on a second watch in particular, very emotional for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it's really beautiful. It's just really, really beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And I think weighing it against the title card at the end of the film, one being the text against a white background, the other being the text against a black background, was also this like really nice artistic choice and just gorgeous to see.
Yeah. I have one other thing to say, which is that it's very Buffy of Isabel to be walking around holding an axe in a prom dress. I just, I really appreciated that.
Oh, yes.
And her wave is like at the very end of the trailers, like she's waving goodbye, and she like does the princess wave with like it's very unsettling in that way, and I like that a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think that's such a good call out as well, because I think one of the reasons why this movie was so popular, not just among queer people, but also just regular old cinephiles, is that it really connects a lot to pop culture loving queer people and just like pop culture loving people in general who analyze and do exactly what we're doing, just get way too deep in movies, into TV shows, and talk about why those are so impactful for us. And I feel like Schönbrunn has Isabel walk out looking like Buffy, and to a lot of people our age who are familiar with Buffy and are queer people, that immediately cues us into like, oh, this tells us a lot about Isabel. She's very similar to Buffy. I know that we are watching a show that is meant to have the same sort of cultural imprint on queer people that Buffy does. And so I think when young Owen sees that advertisement, it is just such a fantastic moment that they purposely put in there to really reach out and speak to us.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the next scene, as adult Owen, Justice Smith, walks through the forest, he narrates to the audience that he couldn't sleep and watched his favorite TV show, The Pink Opaque. He sits down at a campfire and watches the fire, deep in thought. The scene shifts back to the school, and a title card tells us it is 1996. Young Owen is with his mother for election night. He spots a teen, Maddie, played by Bridget Lundy Payne, reading the episode guide for The Pink Opaque, but she walks away. Young Owen walks down the halls and finds her reading the book. He goes to her and says, "Hey." Young Owen asks her about the episode guide, but admits he doesn't watch the show. They talk about how election night is a type of transformation, just like when they bring the planetarium into the school. Owen asks about the Pink Opaque. He has seen commercials for it. She gives him the episode guide and starts to share her fandom with him, but Owen laments that the 10:30 showtime is after his bedtime. She invites him over to watch it with her.
This is such a great sequence, just from start to finish. But I've got to say that to start off with Justice Smith at this fire, he looks so cold in front of the fire. And I think it's important to kind of note that that's a different Owen. It's like a much later Owen, and we'll sort of meet the stories there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an Owen who is definitely empty inside.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the bulletin board behind Maddie when you first see her says greetings from Void High. Like a school would be called Void High.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Yeah, did you not clock that?
Oh, yeah.
No! Oh my god, this is another goddamn Christmas situation. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
How do I keep missing this stuff? It's called Void High?
Void High, yeah.
Void High School, which
There's-
the abbreviated is VHS.
Beautiful.
Oh my god.
There's so many. You could watch this movie so many times and pick up on new things every time. But one thing that I think in my second watch I paid so much attention to was just bulletin boards and signage and all. There's a hallway scene later where I wrote down every fucking thing on the wall. So, but this scene, I love this because it endeared me to Owen immediately as a kid who was constantly sort of being like, I know what that thing is, but I've never been allowed to watch it, but I think I can connect with you over it. And I really wish I could talk to you intelligently about it because I want to watch it so bad. Like, that was fully my experience as a kid. I wasn't allowed to watch anything, and we didn't have cable. And so I was constantly sort of like aware of pop culture and knew that it could be a way to connect with people, but was often falling very short.
Yeah.
So bless all of the Maddies in my life who helped me out.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I did not get to watch a lot of TV when I was a kid, so I get that. Honestly, though, speaking of television, do y'all remember when they used to like publish like real books, like episode guides of television shows with like behind the scenes information? We used to be a society.
Yeah.
Mary,
Yeah.
be careful. This is the
beautiful-
podcaster's realm now, though.
Yeah.
This is our realm now.
Yeah, it's
we
us
took this
now.
over. It's us.
We'll eventually get popular enough that we can publish a book, which is just the transcripts of 50 episodes of the podcast.
Yeah.
See,
There you go.
I know this is a little bit of a joke, Tyler, but there are rewatch podcasts that then write books because they have become like experts on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
I do hope that Doug and Derek will eventually write a book about Spider-Man. So
I would-
like,
The world
I
needs
would read
this.
that. Listen, please?
Coffee table book, please. I want to put that up on display.
coffee table.
Yeah.
I can neither confirm nor deny we've ever talked about that.
See,
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna start manifesting this. I want it. I want it so bad.
Well, I think something Maddie brings up that, again, I think spoke to me and I think speaks to a lot of millennials, and I hope Gen Z also got to experience this, and Gen Alpha. Revelation as to why the inflatable planetarium was so special really struck with me.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I so vividly remember knowing, like, the planetarium is here. We're going to get to go to the library where the planetarium is, and we get to experience that.
You
No.
got a planetarium?
never had this.
Yeah,
That-
we didn't have a planetarium either. But
I mean, we had, like, the inflatable planetarium.
No.
You none of y'all had that experience?
No.
No.
We had the
Oh.
parachute.
We lived close by to each other. I didn't get
God,
that.
weird.
What the
Always dissing on Florida education, and yet they gave you the I saw the TV glow experience.
There you go.
And none of the rest of us got to have it.
Well,
Not even Marilee,
I was in
who
Maybe
was
that's
the Florida
Florida.
education system.
Yeah,
But there-
Marilee would have been, like, in the town over from me.
there is something really true to that, though. Not even just specifically the planetarium, but anytime, I felt this way at least, anytime the school was doing something different or outside of the hours of school, it felt like I was in a different world, or it felt like I was...
Yeah.
It's kind of like blocking the street off for a block party and walking on the street. You're like, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm allowed to? That's so cool. And this is a moment in the movie where Maddie says for the first time that something is special, and she's specifically saying it about how the school has been transformed and how it feels different and how she connects to that. And I think that's really significant.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I call that out specifically in the notes because it's just, like, transformation is special. And, like, it is so... like wide-reaching in terms of the importance of the willingness to transform.
Yeah.
And I won't belabor it, but I did find this film to be incredibly anti-capitalist. And I think as part of that message, downplaying Bill Clinton to the saxophone man was a really good way for a director to deliver that this politician is only here to entertain you, not to try to enforce policies that will protect and keep you safe. And that it's a little tongue in cheek. It's good. It's delivered. It's a quick moment. There are a bunch of them in this movie, though.
Nice. I look forward to the list.
Yeah. Listen, if you've listened to this podcast before, you know that we are pretty down on capitalism, and that most of the time the real horror is retail price, like not retail, like property value. So like we're always going to be here for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in the car ride home, young Owen asks his mother if he can sleep over at Johnny Link's, but she says she will have to, she says that he will have to ask his father. Owen asks if she could ask his father for him. Back at home, we hear this conversation between his mom, and she does just that. In the next scene, we see Owen getting dropped off at Johnny Link's home, waiting for his mother to drive away, and then leaving for Maddie's house.
This caused me so much anxiety.
Yeah,
because
me too.
the relationship of go ask your father is exactly the one I grew up with. And also I think I like a little kid inside me celebrated when it like actually worked, because the fact that his mom drove away before the door was answered, I was like, the whole time I was like, this isn't going to work. What's going to happen? This is going to go horribly, because like she's going to see what's going on. And then she drove off and I was like, oh my God, it's actually working. That never would have worked for me.
No.
Doug, I'm so happy you called that out, because I had the exact same fucking emotional response to that too.
Like, it was like deep.
Yeah, because like that anxiety of like asking your mom to ask on your behalf your dad a question, like especially to like younger queer people, I think that's like, oh God, that hits really, really hard, especially if like your dad was not someone that was like very affectionate or just kind of a positive influence in your life. That hit really hard. And then exactly what you're describing with like that little victory moment of the mom trusting Owen enough to drive off. Like, oh, so good. And I think also like we're going to talk about this more, Owen's mother's connection to the Midnight Realm and everything else. Like, it's that little trace of goodness that she was able to go, allowing Owen to experience the pink opaque in spite of the machinations of the villains at work.
Yeah. I like the tension that's building between Owen and his father. It's all unspoken now. We actually don't hear Owen's father's side of the conversation. We only get Owen's mom's side of the conversation. And even then, it's really a subtitle situation if you really want to catch everything that's going on there, because we get it from Owen's POV. It's really well done, and it does make me feel afraid of Owen's dad, and that will pay off later in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, when he gets there, Maddie and her friend Amanda are talking about boys in school, and Owen lets himself in, but it's just as the pink opaque begins. Maddie and Owen become entranced by the television.
Shut up, it's starting.
Shut up, it's starting. I know, it was so great. Ugh. The opening sequence of the pink opaque plays with the character Isabel telling the audience that she and her friend Tara share an ancient psychic connection, that even while apart from each other, they fight the forces of evil from all the way across the county. They are the pink opaque. The TV program plays as Maddie and Owen watch. Afterwards, Maddie asks if Owen liked it. She talks about how Tara is her favorite character, the format of the show, and the big bad, Mr. Melancholy, who is always messing with time and reality and wants to trap Isabel and Tara in the Midnight Realm. Owen is ashamed that he doesn't get it at first, but Maddie tells him not to apologize. Ooh. She says goodnight, but doesn't leave, instead sitting on the stairs and telling Owen that the pink opaque feels more real than real life.
God.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
Right? First, one little tiny thing. If I didn't see the sort of like layered horror of this, that ice cream man would have absolutely scared the shit out of me as a child, and I would have had night terrors for days. So like, no matter what, I could have seen like the trailer for this as a child, and I would have been like, that's the scariest movie I've ever seen in my whole life. Like, it's just how far I've come.
Well, it's like, so, are you afraid of the dark?
Yes!
Yeah.
Oh, and that show scared the crap out of me. The one time I was allowed to watch it because I wasn't at home, it had something to do with some clown and blue something.
Oh, yeah.
I was terrified.
I also appreciate that, like, the popsicle dialogue that I think happens when they're watching it. The dialogue and the framing looked like a perfect riff on the Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Oh,
Yeah.
And it shares a lot of DNA with this movie, as we're going to discuss as you know the conversation goes. I really love that. I also loved Maddie telling Owen not to apologize.
yes.
Yeah. Heartbreaking.
The reverberations that we'll have later.
Yeah. Can I ask what the Adventures of Pete and Pete are? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar at all.
So The Adventures
Yeah.
of Pete and Pete was a live-action show on Nickelodeon in the early to mid-90s, featuring two brothers who were both named Pete. And they went on basically Lynch-light kind of adventures. They lived in a sort of magical realist town where there was just like everything was always a little bit larger than life in the same way that you experience when you're a kid. Like the ice cream man has a sort of mythos surrounding him. The going trick or treating is very, very significant and has its own lore wrapped around it. And it really does an excellent job for the 90s of expressing what childhood and young adulthood are like in this kind of like weird sort of dreamlike kind of way, but it's accessible for children as a result.
Interesting. All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, you mentioned it earlier, and I clocked that. I was like, oh, I will ask that about it later. But then you mentioned it again here, and I'm like, sorry, this ignorance can no longer stand.
Oh, yeah, no, of course. I'm really glad that you asked, because not everyone that listens to the podcast is going to know what that show is. But yeah, like, the whole reason I brought it up is, like, that popsicle dialogue, which is kind of reminiscing on, like, summer's ending, fall is coming, we're going back to school. This is our last popsicle stick of the summer. It expresses that sort of melancholy that you have when you're a kid about time passing and how summer is always portrayed as being like it's your salad days when you're a kid. It's the best time of your life because you don't have responsibilities. You can go do whatever you want, but it has to naturally end.
It's funny because it is like such a significant like scene in this movie too. It's like Owen's first like queer experience, you know what I mean? Like with his first queer friend and with somebody who's sort of recognizing, like she says back in the school, like, oh, you're a baby, but like, I mean, we talk about like baby gays all the time, right? Like
we do.
She's recognizing she has like a baby gay right in front of her. And so when she says like, don't apologize for not getting the lore, it's sort of like, don't apologize. This is like your first day out in the world.
Yeah.
Like, don't apologize for not understanding your queerness immediately, And she's also kind of like testing things out a little bit because she probably has one of her first queer friends too. So she says things like, the pink opaque feels more real than real life. Do you know what I mean? And he doesn't really, but she's like throwing those little things out there. They're kind of like feeling each other out, and it's really beautiful to see.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that Maddie is sort of the anti-gatekeeper with
Yeah.
fandom, with queer experience. Like, she's not like, oh, you've never heard of Cher, you're not allowed to be gay, which we do sometimes in the community, set up these goalposts that are like, you must do this to be queer, and they're all constructed so we can then deconstruct them. And Maddie, even though we get a little bit of it in the school, the guard is lower here, and I think part of why we get that is that her friend Amanda isn't into the pink opaque. Amanda's not queer, as we'll learn later, and I think that's so important to see Maddie and Owen with Amanda just not caring about the TV makes this an even deeper connection instantly, visually, for us, the audience.
Yeah.
Hard agree. I really, 100%. Fun note, the credits for the pink opaque that we start to see when like the show rolls, they use the same text font as they did in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is the first that's the first thing that I clocked as like Buffy related. Like we talked about Buffy a little earlier, but I noticed that like on a rewatch, like on like the second or third time I watched this movie, but like that was the one that I was like, oh, hey, Buffy text, and so like I was more aware of Buffy stuff as like things go on. Then the other thing that this scene that I think was really significant was when Maddie is talking about Isabel and Tara. She says that Isabel is a scaredy cat. She's kind of the main character, but she's kind of a drip, which is information I'm sure won't be relevant later.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because I remember clocking it in the moment, but I totally forgot about it until you just reminded me. So
no,
that's such a great call out.
Yeah, she also says that Tara is an expert demonologist, and she's so hot
Super
and
hot.
cool and badass, and
She
never
doesn't take
takes
shit from anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And like, man, talk about, you can tell which character Maddie is projecting onto, you know? And we get good reason for that later, but I just think that it's really important to call out that Isabel is scared, and Tara isn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Owen makes his way back home, traversing his suburban neighborhood, mirroring images of Isabel walking through the forest in the pink opaque. It's 2 years later. Owen is a teenager walking through a carnival. Sitting with his mother, she asks how Owen is doing after her health scare. And you can see that she has, like, a bandana and, like, her hair isn't showing anymore. He always seems like he is somewhere else. She just wants to know that he's on the right path. In the car ride home, Owen has his head in his mother's lap in the back seat and asks if he can stay up late to watch the pink opaque. From the front, his father says, isn't that a show for girls? Ultimately, his mother says not tonight. Owen narrates directly to camera. After the sleepover, he hasn't talked to Maddie, but when he told her he still wasn't allowed to watch the show, she started leaving tapes for him.
Yeah, a lot to talk through here. So let's talk hallway walk, which I think is going to be a very important conversation for us, and talk just about some of this initial stuff. I think I think we're all on the same page. Owen is Isabel. It feels a little bit like, how do you watch a director put two scenes of characters walking through a wooded area, one who is in the shadow of a suburban neighborhood with the houses casting shadow upon them, and one who is lit from the sky, and not say, these might have something to do with each other, I think, maybe. And I just think it's really beautiful to put Isabel and Owen together in that way.
Yeah,
totally agree.
It is.
Yeah, that scene in the carnival. Oh God, and the car scene afterwards.
I like the car. The car scene a lot. I mean, I hate it, but
the car scene is so real.
Yeah.
So relatable. And it's interesting because I think both of Owen's parents represent like pretty different things in this moment. But they both kind of have like a similar impact in certain ways. Cause like, I think the isn't that show for girls, or isn't that thing for, I mean, I heard that constantly growing up. I constantly felt my parents sort of like policing me away from anything like too feminine. And I think in their case, they were more like Owen's mom, where I think Owen's mom goes along with what Owen's dad is saying. And I think she's doing it out of a sense of like protection. I think if it were entirely up to her, he'd be able to do these things. He'd be able to be who he is. It's not right, but I think she recognizes that like poking the bear will result in worse outcomes. And so I think I get where she's coming from. I feel like my parents were very much like that. And when I could grow up and see that, I appreciated them more, even if I don't appreciate what they were doing at the time, you know? But the dad is just like so brutal. And like, what kid hasn't heard something like that, especially a queer kid, where it's like making you feel so bad for this like really innocent, innocuous thing you just are showing some kind of interest in, you know?
Yeah.
Can't relate, sorry.
well, Marilee.
I'm sorry. As it turns out, if you're gendered female and are interested in gendered male things like superheroes and Spider-Man, that's fine, because the problem is being feminine. So
Sure, yeah.
I actually can't relate to what you guys are talking about, even a little, sorry.
But even
That's
just
fair.
the idea of gender policing at all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially gender policing your own child. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like, I get what you're saying, but you guys were like, every queer kid. It was like, I don't know that every queer kid.
Maybe not literally every queer kid, but I do think in general, maybe it's not coming from your parents, but I do feel like adults are constantly policing queer kids or kids they think are queer that don't like fit in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, not to tell you what your experience is, obviously,
in different
but like,
ways other than the gender stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the crux of the movie, and what like Mr. Melancholy represents is this heteronormative ideology that we have to live through in society. And you know, the father is speaking in a very societal context when he says isn't that a show for girls? Because he's trying to maintain what is considered the correct way of behavior in this society. And he says it so dismissively, and it's very, very heartbreaking when he says it. But it is, a representation of like, yeah, this is supposed to be the standard. Boys are only supposed to watch football or whatever it is that the father watches. Girls watch the Pink Opaque. It even has the word pink in the title.
Yeah. And just the way that his dad reacts to just him existing and like how he carries himself, how he speaks. I mean, a lot of the policing I got wasn't about necessarily pop culture, but it was how I talked, how I sat. I saw this with teachers policing the way that girls sat in the classroom. Or like who was allowed to be where or doing what things, like just physically existing in space. And I think when you watch how his dad's not on screen very much and he doesn't really say a whole lot, but when you watch just sort of like the derision that his dad sort of exudes towards Owen, it's like, it's real gross, but I feel like a lot of people have experienced it.
Yeah. Quick question. Isn't that a show for girls the only things that Owen's dad says on screen?
Mm-hmm.
It's the only verbal. There's some subverbal we get later in what I would describe as one of the first climaxes of the film. But this is the only verbal communication.
That's what I thought. Because I was like, I do not recall him saying words other than this, which is such a devastating thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then, let's take a walk down this hallway, Doug.
Ooh, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm very interested in what you captured, and there's some things that I only got on my last viewing because I had to pause and look at some of Maddie's notes. There's some real important things that are communicated here while we watch Justice Smith walk down this really drab hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I wrote down every single note that she wrote, and I wrote down every single bulletin board that he passed by. I'm not going to read all of them because like
these bulletin boards though are bleak. They are bleak.
Oh my god, yeah.
And what's funny is the first time I saw it, I don't think I necessarily like processed just how bleak they are because it's not what I was focusing on. But when you really look at them, you're like, I don't know. I haven't been in every school in America, but it feels weird to me that none of those bulletin boards would have anything on them other than these stenciled phrases that are all like these annoying platitudes, most of which are rooted in some sort of assertion of masculinity or stoicism or, something, So you get these things that's like, winners never quit, and one that just literally says excellence, valor, duty, and country, and all these just like annoying things people tell you to like buck up and be stronger about. And then there's two that they really sort of show off. At one point, Owen turns and you think it's the last one you're going to see, and it's the one that says pain is weakness leaving the body. And he gets to leave the camera frame and it focuses on that bulletin board while like the janitor is mopping or whatever. And then the next one you see that you didn't realize there would be is one that says to thine own self be true, when he turns past the pink windows into that direction of the pink windows into the dark room to get the tape or whatever. There's a lot going on there with color and with direction and with the speed of the camera and the notes that are appearing on screen. Love the notes appearing on screen. It's like it's furthering the sort of like Maddie recognizing the baby gay and trying to guide in a caring way. So much of it just inherently is like, I'm going to teach you the mythology and the way about the world. And she's doing that through the mythology of the show. There's another mention of like her calling something special. One of the notes is Isabel and Tara on the psychic plane. And then it says it means they're special, which is, I don't think that's weird to queer people to see each other, recognize they're having a similar experience and be like, yeah, this is our thing, There's also a note that says Isabel and Tara are like family to me, found family, queer family, all that sort of stuff. There's just so much in there. I'm curious as to, David, you said you noted at least some of them as well, right?
I mean, I think the one that I said I have to pause and make sure that I'm getting this totally right is at one point in time, Maddie draws Isabel wearing a dress and writes Isabel's magic dress.
Yeah! And Isabel is like holding the axe in that drawing as well.
Yep. I screamed because that is the dress we will see later.
Yep.
The idea that a dress is magical, magic is transformation. It's so smart. The other thing that I wrote down was at one point in time she just writes, "We are the Pink Opaque."
Yep.
And again, it's just like, again, I think there's no wrong way to watch a movie, and I think a lot of people got different experiences out of this. But I do believe that this movie was banging you on the head with a hammer in the sequence to try to recognize some things.
There's also some other little things. This is the second mention of the Drain Lord's sort of like anti-evil catchphrase, is like they stop attacking if you don't think about them. That ends up becoming really significant later. And also, if we're talking like suburban horror, so many of the titles of these episodes are just like thick with the idea of suburbs as a horror setting. I mean, you get Time Warp Talent Show, Physical Fitness Test of Death, Never Ending Bake Sale, Homecoming to Get You. It's like so many things that are these like quintessential American suburban experiences, not exclusively, but certainly essential to like a suburban middle class, high school experience.
For sure. And I love too that those titles also feel like they could be Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode titles too.
Totally.
Yeah. Homecoming to Get You is incredible. How has that not been the title of something yet?
Yeah,
well,
it's
there's
really good.
Homecoming, that is a Buffy episode, so...
Like, obviously. But no, Homecoming to Get You, that's...
so good.
What's funny is, like, not to dig into the lore of the Pink Opaque television series, but later you see a page of her book that says... Season 1, Episode 2, and it's called Homecoming for You. And I was like, interesting. Are these episodes connected? Like, I went full, like, nerd fandom mode.
Yeah. Oh, actually, hold on. Sorry, my brain is I'm cooking. I'm like, there's so much steam happening out of my ears. Because each episode, Tara and Isabel are never together because on their opposite sides of the county, but they're still like working together. I wonder if every episode, episode is like 2 episodes, because one episode is dealing with the Isabel and then one episode is dealing with the Tara. And so like you would get their parts of the conversation in each episode.
That would be cool. If not every, like there's so many opportunities to do cool, other perspective stuff with that.
That would be great. I would have loved to see that.
So good. Well, Owen puts a tape in, telling the audience that he's watched episodes of the Pink Opaque over and over, but they never get old. The pilot episode Owen is watching features Tara and Isabel meeting and establishing their relationship, but they knew each other before meeting each other. Tara says she saw Isabel's tattoo, the symbol of the Pink Opaque, which is located on the back of their necks. They have a destiny to beat Mr. Melancholy. Owen is saying the words along with the episode when he hears the front door unlock and quickly moves to hide that he was watching the Pink Opaque, sitting in front of blank static instead.
Ugh.
This was hard.
Yeah.
This was really hard because I do think that the image of him in this dark room with his head tilted towards the door with the static playing on his face was very, very, very scary. And that is one of the things that I will use to support my argument that this is a horror movie.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I mean, his dad is in some sense the monster of the movie, if you're talking about horror movies and monsters or killers or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? The number of things that I rushed to like hide from the TV when I realized my parents were home. Holy crap. Not the same exact thing, but like I had a whole fucking GameCube that I knew my parents would be so mad that I had, so I like hid it in the whole library and like could only play it when like I knew they weren't around, and it was like so like stressful to have it that I eventually just like sold the whole lot. I was like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep hiding my GameCube. I also had Grand Theft Auto for exactly 2 days before it stressed me out too much, and sold that back as well.
Buddy.
We also we had a TV. My younger brother and I had a TV in our room, like the old several generations ago TV. And for like 1 week, we got channels that made no sense. Like we didn't have cable, so like the fact that MTV was like showing up on our TV with our antenna was like completely baffling. But we were like, we can't let anyone know that we have MTV. No. Like it was a whole operation where like we turn it on, someone would be at the door and like making sure like no one caught us watching MTV for the 1 week it suddenly appeared.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah.
And the fear was real. Like what he's experiencing, like if no one's ever experienced that, or if you didn't have that sort of relationship with a parent, like it is real fear as a kid. Like what will happen to you is very tangible, So that caused me stress too. Very similarly to the sleepover thing we were talking about, Tyler, where it's like, oh, this is gonna go wrong.
Well, kind of on that note, because I I wasn't necessarily worried about some sort of like something overly punishing from my parents, but instead it was just more of their judgment that I was afraid of, and feeling like I was disappointing them in some way with my tastes.
Sure.
So I absolutely had like pieces of media that I would hide from my family and basically do what Owen did, is just like take it out of the VHS or the DVD player or whatever really quickly. But did you all like ever have like pieces of media that you had to do that with?
Oh yeah.
Doug, I'm like really curious, like, so you mentioned like the GameCube. Was there like a specific game on the GameCube that you were really worried about?
No, the content of the games outside of like Grand Theft Auto wasn't the concern. It was more the fact that like that was not like a sanctioned purchase or sanctioned like toy, right? Like we had things already, and so like that would not have been approved. They wouldn't have gotten it, even though I was using my own money. So it's like that type of relationship. But there was specific media for sure, because I obviously also had like a secret DVD collection that they didn't know about because rated R movies were not allowed in the house, you know? And some of those at a certain point become the sort of formative movies that you're watching because you're figuring things out, right? So like, it's not that I had queer movies in high school because I didn't know where to find them, but there would be movies that I was like, I recognize that that is an attractive man and I'm watching it for that attractive man. You know what I mean? And even though other people wouldn't know that, you feel like you're putting that out into the world, and if somebody sees that movie, you're like, oh shit, they're gonna know, you know? And so there were specific things, certainly, that I would hide. Or like The Full Monty was like a really like tantalizing movie, because it's like there are guys who are getting naked on screen, and they don't actually, but like if it's the first thing you've ever seen and one of those dudes is somebody that you're like, interesting, you know, you feel like you have to hide that because of why you're watching it.
Right. Marilee, did you have anything that meets the brief on this?
No. Sorry, guys. Boring yet again. I had a great relationship with my dad.
This is great. I'm loving this for you, Marilee. Why would I wish otherwise?
Yeah, exactly. You're actually doing wonderful right now. We're happy for you.
Yeah, no, we had a television in my room when I was in high school, and sometimes I would stay up late to watch Full Metal Alchemist, and it was really late. It was at 10 or later, because it was the last time in the block. And my bedroom was right above my dad's bedroom, because we had a 2-level, and so I would very quietly walk over and stand directly in front of the television to watch it, which is the only, because I would get in trouble for being up late,
sure,
but not any. He wouldn't give a shit.
Not like the content of the show.
No, it was fine. It was all, my dad was great. Loved him.
I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I watching this think that the Pink Opaque, I didn't watch a lot of live action shows when I was a kid. When I was younger, most of the time that we were 1/2 hour of television a day, or on Saturday mornings we could watch however many cartoons we watched. So I didn't watch a lot of live action shows.
Oh, sure.
But I think that this is a show that I would have really been interested in.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, and I the way that Tara says, I knew you as soon as I saw you, hell, I knew you before, I think is also a really interesting thing to put a pin in.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and the idea that there's this tattoo that's on a part of your body that you can't see but other people can see, and that another person who has that tattoo could recognize you. There's a little bit of there's a little bit of queers clocking queers and trying to make space available, which is kind of what Maddie has already done for Owen in our other story.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Oh, this is, by the way, where the I don't even have my learner's permit, how can I have a Destiny line comes into play.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
It's so good.
How can I have a Destiny?
Yeah.
Joss Whedon
very
could never.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, so 90s. So good.
So 90s.
At the high school the next day, Maddie is eating lunch on the bleachers, and Owen comes up to join her. He asks if she and Amanda still watch the Pink Opaque, but she doesn't talk to Amanda anymore after she lied to the school that Maddie tried to touch her and now has joined the cheer squad. Maddie says that she is like a secret agent sent to make her life miserable. Owen invites himself over again. He wants to watch the show while it airs. Maddie tells him that she likes girls. Owen stutters that it's fine. She asks if he likes girls or boys, and he says I like TV shows. Owen says that when he thinks about that stuff, that it feels like someone took a shovel and dug out his insides, but he's too nervous to open himself up and check. Owen asks if Maddie has ever felt like that, and she says that he's like Isabel, afraid of what's inside him.
Wow.
And this is the thing that I related to most, like, of all of this stuff, because, like, I'm Arrow Ace, and, like, in high school when everybody else was going through the throes of puberty, I like TV shows. I was afraid to open myself up inside and see that there was nothing there, because I felt that I was hollow inside and it was all wrong and bad, and, like, unfortunately that is a very relatable experience for me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was gutting.
Mm-hmm.
Gutting.
Yeah. Mary Lee, I was honestly like the exact same way, because I'm not Arrow. I'm like Gray Ace. It's somewhere along there. But I was like super suppressing my queerness when I was, going through puberty. And I wasn't attracted to girls or boys really, but I was really into like TV shows, and even I was like on internet forums. This was back when, everyone loved Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling was a normal person. So I would, but,
was
I
not
was
an extreme force for evil with a platform where it
yes,
matters.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one. Let's go with that. Because from the beginning, she's had her own issues. But either way, point being, I was on the internet. I was talking about nerdy stuff with other people, and that was where I felt most comfortable, and I identified mostly with those activities. That's what I found really interesting. I wasn't interested in dating. I wasn't interested in being with girls or boys. I kind of just thought like, oh, well, eventually I'm going to find the right girl, and then I'll marry her, and then we'll have a kid, and it'll be all great, blah, blah, blah. Because that was what society had inculcated in me and made me think that's what I was supposed to do. And I can see that happening with Owen, but Owen is obviously going through a lot more than that. And even if we were to remove this idea that the Pink Opaque is a real place that one can go to, or that all of the twists that are supernatural in the show or in this movie were taken out, Owen is still going through quite a lot of pressure from everyone saying you must behave in this manly way that society expects is manly and normal, and you will have a family and blah, blah, blah. And not everyone feels that way. And not everyone in high school knows that immediately. And even if they think they do, maybe they don't. And so, yes, I very much related to Owen in this moment. And especially as like such a huge like pop culture nerd, I was like, oh, boy, like Schoenbrunn, they really put like the spotlight on me in this moment. I feel very seen.
Yeah, this is the most seen I felt in quite a while, frankly.
Yeah.
And this is a really good example of why I think even if you walk away from this not getting a lot of the subtextual stuff or the subtle stuff, or if you cannot buy into the fact that any of this is literal and all the supernatural stuff is purely allegorical, like this scene to me is something you have to just ignore this scene, I feel like, to not see that Owen is still, even if by not seeing any of the supernatural stuff as being literal or not understanding the allegory, if you walk away not thinking that Owen has anything to do with like a trans journey, I still don't know how you walk away from this not thinking Owen is on some kind of queer journey in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
it's so bizarre to me.
Yeah. One of the things that I only caught on a reviewing was the line that Maddie gives about Amanda being this sort of like secret spy that's there to make her life miserable. Because she literally is.
Yeah.
And the actor who portrays Amanda, Emma Portner, is the evil clown that we'll see in the next scene.
Hell yeah.
She plays Mr. Melancholy. Like I think that we're talking about too much of an artist as a director, that this isn't just using someone that you had on cast who is a very good dancer and shows that off as the evil clown in just a bit, but to really nail home that story that the antagonists are here with you.
Mm-hmm. Which is part of also what makes this so fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Well, Owen walks through the suburbs again to Maddie's.
Oh, wait. There was one line, and correct me if someone already said this, but I think Maddie specifically says, maybe you're like Isabel. Like in that scene, I think she specifically says word for word, maybe you're like Isabel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Again, just like, no, you're I'm glad you brought us back to it, because it It is like textual. It's just like, I know that we're trying to be very accommodating to people who had different experiences with it. I do think that's beautiful and great, but like the main character saying, maybe you're like this woman from the show, is, again, it's just like, no, more support for this thesis.
Yeah.
It's the text of the film. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Owen walks through the suburbs to get to Maddie's. They watch the Pink Opaque, and while watching Tara fight a demonic clown, Maddie begins to cry. That night, we can hear violent noises coming from Maddie's stepfather. She comes down to talk to Owen and tells him that she is getting out of this town. She says she will die if she stays here. She doesn't know how she knows that, but she knows that it's true. Owen worries that if she leaves, he won't have anyone to watch the Pink Opaque with. Maddie comes over to him and draws the ghost of the Pink Opaque on the back of his neck in the same place where Isabel and Tara have their tattoos. Maddie falls asleep next to him, but as Owen stays awake, he sees colorful static above him.
This could be anywhere, but if this ain't some like small town queer shit, then nothing is.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it lacks the. First of all, I think we like textually also know that Maddie is queer, and in very specifically not into Owen.
Yeah.
And it sort of lacks the romantic or sexual intimacy of a moment, but it's very platonic intimacy. And drawing something on somebody else, it's a very close thing to do.
And to have to remove an article of clothing to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's very tender.
Yeah. Tender's the right word. Tender is the right word.
Yeah.
I think too, like, I think Owen is framed very like effeminately in that scene as well. I think the blocking is very indicative of, like, we're showing Owen let the shirt down, but only to the point where one would naturally, like, keep things covered. And just the way everything is framed, that tenderness is there, but I think Owen is definitely in more of, like, that feminine space. And it just shows this growing connection that he has to the Isabel part of him, his true identity. Schoenbrunn is just fucking genius. Like, they're so good at what they're doing here. It's so beautiful.
I'm obsessed with the aesthetics of this film. I think that it's one of the most impactful films visually I've seen in a hot minute.
It's amazing what lighting can do, everyone.
I know.
Hire a gaffer. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, it's more than that, but I'm going to keep taking digs at Hollywood lighting.
You should. You should continue to do so.
You can actually see what's happening in the night scenes in this movie.
Oh, what?
Wild.
Are you supposed to be able to see things?
Yeah, crazy.
Whoa.
What's funny, what's actually funnier to me is that this is a film where a dark scene would actually like communicate something very importantly versus like something where I actually need to know what's happening as Batman is throwing punches and I can't see anything.
Yeah.
Here you could use it artistically, and Schoenbrunn is like, nah, I'm gonna let you see everything, babes.
Hell yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So the next morning, Owen viciously exfoliates the back of his neck to remove the drawing Maddie made. Crushing.
That destroyed my entire soul.
God, it was hurt. It hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that prop work is one of those things like lighting that you only notice it when it's wrong, but in this moment, I noticed how exfoliating that exfoliating washcloth looked. It looked like steel wool.
Yeah.
It didn't even look like an exfoliating pad. It looked like we were doing actual harm to this actor, and definitely to this character, as we'll see in a bit.
Yeah.
Maddie tells Owen to pack up his things and not tell anyone that they are leaving. He asks where they will go, and she says that they will know when they get there. Owen goes to Johnny Link's house and rings the doorbell. He begs Johnny's mom to tell Owen's father that he's been lying about the sleepovers. He needs to be grounded. He doesn't want to leave his home.
Heartbreaking.
Goosebumps.
So much to talk about here. I guess I'd like to stay on exfoliation for just a moment, because I do think that there is something about discovering yourself, and I think that whether you choose to view the title of this film literally or not, Owen literally does see the TV glow above him. It is almost this moment of revelation. There is something else there. And then the immediate reaction to that, to be wanting to remove it, I think is a queer lived experience. It's my queer lived experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's one that a lot of queer folks can resonate with. That the moment you have acceptance, one of the directions you can go is to actually retract and do something harmful to yourself to distance yourself from that identity.
But not even just to like do something harmful for the purpose of taking that away, but to feel you need to be punished for it. You've had the experience, you've experienced it, and then when you like quote come to or have a quote clear mind, you're like, oh, that was wrong and I need to be punished.
Yeah.
I think also the performance here is so good, but when Owen is tearfully saying that you need to tell my stepfather this or my dad this, and that I need to be grounded, not only is that asking for punishment, but it's also asking for an excuse.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that also rung really true for me, because I remember doing things like that growing up. Not even necessarily that it was related to like my identity as a queer person, but just because like I didn't want to like do something that I know was going to result in emotional vulnerability for me. I would purposely look for ways to give myself what I thought was a legitimate excuse to not do this thing that scared me, because I didn't want to be scared. I didn't want to risk anything. I didn't want to take a chance. So Owen saying that, and so dramatically and emotionally, really fucking gutted me, because I felt so seen in that moment. And I think a lot of like queer people who are probably like a lot of queer introverts or queer perfectionists, I think also feel that way as well, where there's just that fear of the unknown that keeps you from doing that thing. And so you look for something to legitimize your unwillingness to engage with it, because otherwise it seems like you don't have a good excuse. You should be doing it.
Yeah.
I also want to talk a little bit about the casting of Johnny Link's mom here.
So this is Amber Benson, famously played Tara on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and was probably for a lot of folks, at least my age, maybe the first queer relationship that we got a chance to see on an accessible television channel.
And for context, for anyone who is unfamiliar with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or maybe hasn't gotten that far into the show, Amber Benson played a character named Tara, who became a lesbian love interest to another character. What was her name?
Willow.
Thank you. Willow on that show. And I'm not going to get into spoiler territory about it. All you really need to know is that she was on the show for a couple seasons. But she had a very, very strong impact on a lot of queer people, as David said, especially people like that was their first experience with a queer relationship. And so if you are within that age range, that millennial kind of age range, seeing her here, and also knowing that there's a character named Tara who is kind of like a lifeline to the main character in the show, I think is almost like kind of a moment for Schoenbrunn to kind of play with our emotions and perhaps either like make that emotional trauma that we just experienced from Owen's performance more intense, because we have another character here that we know and we have a strong queer relationship to, or it's to try and provide like a little bit of a balm, because to me, actually, Owen breaking down like this and then Amber Benson's character hugging him felt like getting a hug from like a queer elder who is in a maternal role.
Yeah. I didn't clock that was Amber Benson, but even still, like Johnny Links' mom, I like comforting Owen was like such a really like stark thing, because I don't know that he would have been able to get that comfort at home. And here's like this kid who was crying.
Yeah.
I was really moved by that.
Yeah.
And then to know it's Tara?
Yeah.
Well, and Schoenbrunn, they've been very open that this was like an important casting decision that they made intentionally. Because at my first viewing, I was like, "Oh, get it, Amber Benson, get some work." But this was an intentional ask of the director to cast Amber in this role, to sort of say goodbye to that character that meant a lot to this director. And I think that's cool and vulnerable to be able to see on screen as well.
Yeah.
It's so cool, like, learning these things and seeing all the things that Schoenbrunn puts into these moments, because it makes it so that, like, you almost can't watch the movie only one time, because you feel like you're taking for granted all the things you know that they did with such deep intention, you know? Like, I feel like I've seen this movie 3 times, and I still feel like there's probably stuff that they did that's really intentional that I haven't even learned yet, or I haven't even encountered yet, or I didn't notice yet. Yeah. And I love stuff like that.
Me too.
Yeah, you know what would be something that a publisher could do that'd be really cool is like to create a book about this movie with all the behind the scenes information, and like give it stuff about the Pink Opaque. I think that could be really neat.
That seems pretty outlandish, I would say.
How dare you.
Yeah, we don't live in a society where that happens. So Owen narrates what happens next. His mother passes away, and a few weeks later, Maddie disappeared without a trace. Her television on fire in the backyard. And that same exact month that Maddie disappeared, the Pink Opaque was canceled. It's now 8 years later, and Owen is working at a movie theater. He accidentally walked in on his manager getting a blowjob and apologizes profusely. Owen gets teased by his manager and coworker for what he saw and for not looking at them. Owen drives home, but is blocked by a downed power line. Scattered around the live wire are pages from an episode guide for the Pink Opaque, outlining, among other things, Season 6, Episode 1, Escape from the Midnight Realm. Dun dun dun.
But Marilee, that episode never happened.
See, I'm sorry. It's just textual that we are in this world.
Yeah.
And I think with the imagery you've got going around with the power line, I think this is when Maddie comes back. This is the effect on this world that Maddie has returned to it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no. I saw your note in there, and I hadn't clocked that. I was like, oh my god, David's so smart. Because of course, Maddie's return brings these script pages and this like change in how things are in the world. Because like even like when Owen gets home, he's like, sorry, there was this downed power line when he's talking to his dad, who of course does not.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but like just it's such a smart catch because of course that's what this is. I love that. It's so smart.
Mm-hmm. So good.
Yeah. The blowjob and the behavior by Owen's coworkers after that is unfortunately felt very real. Like when I was younger, I would get uncomfortable and not know what to say when people would talk about like heterosexual sex. And so I feel like maybe I didn't behave like Owen did, but I certainly felt like how Owen behaves when people would talk about it. And it's another manifestation of how the dominant ideology of heteronormativity is so pervasive that there is not, like, let's stand aside the fact that there would probably be like an HR thing that should happen, but realistically, maybe not, because it's a movie theater in a small town. If we still just accept that this is something that Owen experienced and there was no HR ramifications from it, and the fact that they were all laughing about it afterwards, that's extremely traumatizing. Like, that's especially for someone who's just figuring out their identity and their queerness, or in Owen's case, purposely trying to not figure that out. It's devastating, and it's very unnerving. For me, that scene afterwards was like cringe horror, because I felt horrible for what Owen was going through, and I felt that secondhand embarrassment. But it's so frightening that even at this age, because Owen's like in his early to mid 20s by this point, like it's just so unnerving that he's still being treated this way, and like he won't look up, and oh god.
And to know, watching it back, that he will continue to work for this man basically for the rest of the story we get to see.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
David, I kind of also want to know a little bit more about like the surreal elements that we see in this section.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I mean, Doug and I talked a little bit about it, but this is where you get the empty shopping carts, the empty movie theater. The world it's there and it's not lived in these parts because it's the Midnight Realm, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
We get the go through the drive-through where the person is talking the same time that he's talking. This is all just to build on that surreal horror. It's meant to set you on edge. And then I also think that I think that a disused shopping cart is in and of itself a nice way of saying that this is something that doesn't belong here in front of a movie theater. But I also think that because this film is anti-capitalist, it is a different symbol to use shopping carts very specifically because they are about consumerism, and to call the audience's attention back to that. And then we will deliver the coup de grace for that in the final sequence of the film.
Yeah. I do also think it's interesting to note out that in the down power line scene, as Owen is driving, there's a billboard for saying "Fun Center coming soon," which the in these sequences where Owen is like going around and like the empty shopping mall, like it seems like there's not a lot of people here left. So like the idea that they're building a fun center seems wild. Like it's not like a population center that they can support.
I think that's such a great point to make, and also David's point about the shopping carts and just things are seeming worse. I think they are getting worse, and I think we are accepting the text that this is the Midnight Realm. This is not anything else. This is not something symbolic of Owen's mentality. It's true that he's stuck here. Once Maddie leaves, it's like the punishment becomes more severe. Like one person has escaped and Mr. Melancholy cannot bear that, so his minions will make Owen's life worse and worse and worse in ways that we cannot yet fathom. And it goes so far into showing like Owen's mental and physical degradation as a result. But yeah, so back at his home, Owen apologizes to his father for being late. His father is watching a generic and loud television program, but he isn't watching it. Rather, he is staring directly at Owen, unblinking and unresponsive. Upstairs, Owen uses his inhaler and turns on the TV, which cuts to a film he is ushering at the movie theater. Then another cut, and we are at a supermarket. Owen is purchasing groceries, but feels someone watching him, and behind him is Maddie. He embraces Maddie, and she tells him that she knows a place at the edge of town where it will be safe for them to talk.
Owen's dad is so scary!
Terrifying.
Yeah, Owen's dad is so scary.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Mr. Melancholy in the dark, just like that white moon face bathed in the blue light from the television. It freaked me out a little bit, just like the way that he's unblinkingly staring at Owen. Mm-hmm. I did not care for that.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that Owen is like in his early 20s at this point, which doesn't mean the relationship goes away. But he's walking in after the job he's working at 22 or 23 years old and apologizing to his dad for being late when his dad was just at home watching TV. Like, it just says so much about their relationship and the fear that he has around his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think that for a film that's so much about the media that we consume, Owen's dad is not watching anything. Like the background that we get on the TV is so generic that it could be from any game show, news program, sitcom, all sort of melded together. And it almost is a trap for him. And this made me start to think, like, is Owen's dad also just a trapped person in the Midnight Realm? Because in a sort of perfect prison, one of the things that you set up is to have prisoners reinforce the bars that hold them in. And that's what heteronormative society does to queer people, is it makes us build our own boxes to be stuck inside.
I love that.
That's a really great point. I don't know that everyone in the Midnight Realm is another person, like a real trapped person, but I do think that's an interesting thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's something to clock. It
gave me a little bit of, I mean, I don't like Owen's dad, but it gave me a little bit of empathy that the idea of sitting and watching a generic television program that was a mash of everything, that's a horror in and of itself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's something strange about the other people in Owen's world because, like, one, we know that Mr. Melancholy's thing is, like, to grab awkward teens and use them to power the Midnight Realm or whatever. And so, like, you could have other trapped people in there, but you could also just have, like, other, quote, cast members or whatever. And, like, some people in the world seem to be kind of eternal, and some people in the world, obviously, like his mom, aren't. And so, like, the more you kind of think about each person's relationship to the world, the less it kind of makes sense, which means they almost all feel a little bit more like characters written into a story only when they're relevant, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know what to do with that, but I'm thinking about it because of his manager and the dad and this thought that you had, David.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I also just think if you look at Owen's parents, whether you like how they help him or not, immediately after showing concern or caring for him, they die. Yeah. So it does seem to almost be like, if you try to help Truman out, we're taking you off the Truman Show.
Fuck.
Oh, no.
That's a great pull.
Yeah.
What a great companion piece to this would be.
Oh, God.
No, I can't.
Insane double feature.
Yeah, it would be a great double feature, actually. Can we talk about Maddie showing up at the grocery store?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Significant issue. I like that she's standing really awkwardly. And it wasn't until my third rewatch that I was like, oh, of course she's standing awkwardly. That's not her body. She doesn't remember how it works anymore. It's like she's standing almost in this like not a T-pose, which a T-pose is a graphic design thing where you're designing the character with their arms out in a T, so that you get all their features right. But she's standing with her arms kind of at her sides.
Like an A pose?
Like an A pose, I guess, yeah.
Very action figure-esque. Now that you mention it.
Yeah.
That's a good way of looking at it. Action figure-esque.
Mm-hmm. Doug, I'm kind of curious about, like, what are your thoughts on Maddie's return and her behavior in the grocery store?
I mean, the first thing I notice is how she looks, and I know she's carrying herself like it's not her own body, but her physical appearance is different, and what she chooses to wear is very different. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you were looking at this sort of like purely allegorically, I mean, this is a person who managed to leave town. This is a person who managed to find themselves at least a little bit more. They come back feeling a little, or looking a little bit more comfortable in their choices. Prior to this, when she was still a student, she was wearing like lots of baggy clothes, clearly uncomfortable with, either her body or the way that she was allowed to dress herself or whatever the case may be. Now her hair is shorter. Like, that was the very first thing I noticed, was like, oh, Maddie looks very different. She looks like she has learned or discovered or been somewhere, and at this point you don't know what her journey has been entirely. Right. So that was my first reaction.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you brought up like her appearance, because I also like clocked the outfit that she was wearing.
It's very Tara, is it not?
It is very Tara.
It is.
Yes, absolutely. But I think it was also kind of interesting too, because like, I guess if we're looking at Tara, but especially Maddie's manifestation of Tara's appearance, it's very masculine coded. Mm-hmm. However, it still feels like very gender ambiguous all at the same time. Like, I think we recognize that Maddie is a queer person, and that, she's same-sex attracted to other women or feminine presenting people. But I think everything about Maddie as she has returned is so different than the gender norm that we have been, experiencing so far. And it's just like another visual key that something is different. She's developed in some way. I think, David, you kind of nailed it, that she's becoming more comfortable in her queerness and discovering some parts of herself. So I really loved that. I was kind of curious, though, what was it that Maddie was holding in the grocery store? Because to me, it looked like a big piece of raw meat.
Yikes!
It kind of does, but when it hits the ground, it doesn't quite sound like raw meat. So I'm not sure. I assumed it was like a bag with something in it, but then that never means it. When I first thought it, I was like, she has a red bandana, and I didn't think anything of it. But yeah, she drops it, and it's clearly something. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what. We don't see it ever again, right?
Nope.
No.
We don't. Yeah. This just adds to the surreality of the situation.
I would agree with that, yeah. It's because it's like a very dreamy sort of space to be in to begin with. Why is the grocery store half lit? Why is it so empty? Like, we've had dreams like that or nightmares like that where you're in a place that has been made different in some way, and in this case we just kind of accept it as this is the reality that the characters live in. But to us, it's extremely surreal. So I love that. It's very Lynchian. So we're going back to our Lynch theme at the very beginning.
Owen wants to know where Maddie's been for the past decade, but she wants to ask him something first. Does Owen remember the show they used to watch together, The Pink Opaque? Of course he remembers. It's his favorite TV show of all time. But Maddie clarifies her question. When Owen thinks back on watching the show, how does he remember it? As just a TV show or something else? Maddie asks Owen if when he remembers The Pink Opaque, he ever gets it confused and time doesn't feel like it's moving correctly, like he's narrating his own life or distinguishing what has happened between him and what is happening in the show. As Maddie prods Owen's memory, we see a scene where Owen is wearing a dress and walking the football field that we have seen Isabel on. Finally, Maddie tells him where she has been. She has been inside the show, inside The Pink Opaque.
So the safe place that they go to is like this bar called the Double Lunch. And it's mentioned very, very, very briefly in the beginning of the movie when Maddie is first showing Owen the Pink Opaque episode guide. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, is this bar named after something, like a real place in the universe that's named after the bronze, essentially, of the Pink Opaque? Or, like, is this somehow a safe place because it is this liminal in between the Midnight Realm and the Pink Opaque universe? I just have many questions. Also, the song rules, so throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely in agreement with you on that. Doug, I'm kind of curious too what your take on this scene is as well.
Yeah, tell us about the double lunch thoughts.
I hadn't any. This is a new thought for me as far as like what the or not what the double lunch is, but the relationship of the double lunch to the Pink Opaque and this sort of liminal space. I actually hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Well, I think this scene was so reminiscent to me of Twin Peaks and Buffy that this is exactly the sort of thing that would happen in the middle of an episode. Some sort of extremely important scene, like plot development, would happen while there's a live performance going on and everyone is having a conversation off to the side. David Lynch does it, and that's fantastic. And as I said with Buffy, that happens a lot too. The club, David,
the Bronze.
Yes, thank you, the Bronze. You know, there's a lot of plot that happens at the Bronze, and it's also kind of transforms itself, going from really grungy to more poppy as the series progresses and music tastes change. It's cool to see, so it's nice that we have this reference in here. David, I also kind of curious, what is your take on this whole scene with the
Bronze
the
is
setting?
a Buffy thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The Bronze is the Buffy version. The Roadhouse is the Twin Peaks version.
Got it.
And I think what I think is probably most relevant, as someone who might be new to Buffy would not necessarily know, is that they had bands play their music. And one of the criticisms of the contemporary time was like, oh, I don't want to hear Chibo Mido play. I want to watch vampires get staked. And I think contemporary reviews of this film are like, I can't believe we took a song break in the middle of the movie. And like, it builds tension, you idiots. Like, this is just how good art is made on film.
They're also not insignificant songs.
Thank you.
Like, at all.
They're plot important.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know all the lyrics to Claw Machine by Sloppy Jane and Phoebe Bridgers or whatever, but like they specifically focus on a part where they're singing "I think I was born bored, I think I was born blue," and then the song after it, at the end of the scene, is called "Psychic Wound." Like,
Yes.
these aren't mistakes.
No,
Well,
no,
You're supposed
like,
to notice them.
the thing that that got to me is like the reason why I remember the double lunch from earlier in the film and like versus here is that Maddie specifically talks about like the what bands are playing in the double lunch. It's like so it's in universe they always have two bands playing the double lunch, which is whatever like in the Pink Opaque, and I see that this is the place that they've gone with the double bands that are really important. And there's something happening here, and I'm so interested in what it is.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you look at both acts sort of have a look at gender as performative in a way that we haven't seen in this universe. And that sold to me that this was sort of a part of the Midnight Realm that was a little bit more free of the constriction of everything else we've seen. And if it's like Roadhouse or if it's like the Bronze, then it is fulfilling that duty as being this sort of liminal space that people who really shouldn't be there are allowed to be there.
Yes. I think that's absolutely wonderful to call out, because it is free from the heteronormative, ideology that we're stuck with in the Midnight Realm. Part of me thinks that maybe the double lunch was manifested at the same time that Maddie's return was, because Mary Lee, you absolutely clocked it, that this was a thing referenced as being existing in the Pink Opaque show, and suddenly became real. And I think that's so cool. I think also the name itself, the double lunch, is really kind of ambiguous sounding, because what is a double lunch? Like, does it just mean that you're eating two sandwiches? What does it actually mean? So I think that's kind of like a cool part of it. And then also touching on the fact that we had musical acts and we have musical breaks, that is very much part of that DNA. of the Lynchian surreality of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And again, also very Buffy-esque because we had full songs performed in that as well. I had a friend actually tell me that as well, that they thought the performance was too long, but that's pure Lynch, baby. Like, David Lynch's Twin Peaks: The Return, the man filmed someone sweeping for a minute and a half. That's movies.
And like, at the point at which you're here in the movie, like, it's not like nothing's been lingered on. You know?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and I think, like, I don't know, not every movie has the same pace. Like, it's kind of told you what it is. Like, this movie's kind of told you what it is and what it's about and what its vibe is. So it's weird that would be such a common critique unless you just hate music, I guess.
I think it's
Couldn't relate.
I think
Right?
I know, right? I think it's just part of kind of like some mindset that we have now as well, that everything in the plot has to be plot relevant. You can't linger.
Yeah,
anything.
I think there is like one measurement of what like a movie is supposed to be or how a story is supposed to be told, and I think I probably used to believe that too. But now I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, give me like weird structures and give me unconventional paces and make me look at something I wasn't expecting.
100%, yeah. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that we have that in this movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
While the music's going and Maddie is delivering this like really important first sort of climax of the movie, Lundy Payne is like, a new Oscar should be made for exceptional eye contact use in a film, and she should be the inaugural winner.
And you are not wrong.
Yeah.
It is the way that she avoids eye contact is so, oh my God, it is so uncomfortable for me, which again, this is a horror movie. And then when she finally makes it, I'm blown away.
Totally.
Yeah, great.
I think we should also like touch on as well what Maddie is doing, like Maddie's actual dialogue to Owen as well. Like, how do you remember this? Do you find yourself getting confused? Do you feel like you're narrating your own life? Are you having trouble distinguishing what was in the show and what happened in real life? And then we see Owen walking in the dress, and this is our first time seeing Owen in a dress. And it's also the first time that we see the closest thing Owen has to a smile is in that flashback of him wearing the dress. And it's such a beautiful moment that also is textual evidence as to the reality that they are stuck in the Midnight Realm, and that Owen is getting closer to his true identity, and he is close to experiencing happiness. But if you are someone who is very deeply withdrawn and depressed, happiness and joy is terrifying. And so I think this, to me, and I think this might be like maybe a me thought, but I think this is also where Maddie's argument to Owen, that you are trapped in a place that is not real and your true self is somewhere else. Maddie's kind of flubbing the message a little bit here. I think everything that she's saying is important, but I do think that she's not aware of what Owen has gone through. She's not aware that his mother died. I believe. I think we're still in that point.
No, Owen's mom died before she left.
Okay, so I will retract that statement then, but I do think it's still telling that Maddie perhaps is not communicating. She's communicating something important and that Owen needs to hear, but she is not communicating in a way that Owen is able to open himself up and listen to what is being said. I don't think she's wrong in doing that, but I think this is the beginning of a problem that's going to come up later in Maddie's next scenes.
I think Owen is so sort of internal and so defensive against so much of this that, like, I think the approach you would need to take is one that most people wouldn't start at. You know what I mean? Like, I think the amount of work, I hate to say it this way, but like the amount of work that needs to be done to sort of get Owen to the point of seeing sort of what she sees, I think is a bigger project than I think she even realizes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. That is essentially what I'm trying to get at.
And remember, Maddie has a very limited time that she can be here. So
Yeah.
This is all textual, and it's like the supernatural element of this movie, and like it is all actually happening. But I don't want to like breeze past some of the stuff she says that is like very real world too. Like I as she was talking about this before, I was thinking about it all very literally, because I don't know that I was, the first time I watched this, I like was like, oh, it's all very literal. Like all this is supernatural, literal stuff. Like this hit with me because the idea of sort of like looking back on your experience and like trying to sort out what was like real and what wasn't, as far as like how you reacted to things based on who you were trying to be versus how you reacted to things based on who you are. Or one big thing is like recognizing that interactions you might have had with people were motivated by like an attraction or a kinship or something that you wouldn't have known how to identify until you were older. There was something about these questions she was asking that I thought were really relatable to that kind of experience of looking back and like making sense of things and reinterpreting things to inform kind of you and moving forward.
I love that. Yeah. I think I think what's so interesting about this movie is that we can, both of these opinions, that much of the movie is allegorical or metaphorical, and it's also very literal. I think it's such a great film because we can do both. We can read both interpretations.
Yeah, I think what's weird about it is like it's there are so many movies that are like very obviously not reality, and so then people easily accept that you are supposed to find the allegory. And I think this one just does such a good job of being in this weird space that, and I think because some of the themes and content of it make people resistant, I think people want. I'm assuming, I guess I don't know. I'm assuming the people who aren't seeing some of the literal stuff don't want to see that and are trying to like make sense of it otherwise, when it's like, no, you could have just done both, like you're saying, Tyler. Like it is a fantastical story, and so you can just find the allegory without having to try to like get rid of the fantastical stuff. Like when you watch, like, I don't know, when you watch a character in a superhero movie that you relate to and learn something from, you don't stop interpreting them as a superhero because you learned something real from them. And it feels like people are kind of doing that with this movie for some reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really smart.
You know, I think at this point in time on my first watch, I did wonder if Maddie was the antagonist. I wondered if this was a delusion that she was trying to rope her former friend into. It's obviously not, because the third act of the movie would poke a lot of holes in that. But I do remember having some lingering questions at this point in time in my first watch.
I had similar feelings in a scene that we're about to get into. So,
okay,
cool. Marilee, unless we have anything else we want to discuss about this incredible scene, please take it away.
All right, yeah. So Owen leaves and Maddie follows him. She isn't going to stay in this place much longer. She asks him if he remembers the final episode of The Pink Opaque, the end of season 5. She tells him that he cannot trust anyone. They're all working for Mr. Melancholy. She says that she will be at the high school tomorrow and hopes he will come. Back home, Owen goes to his tapes that Maddie made him and finds the final episode. He narrates how he came to get the tape after Maddie disappeared. It came in the mail, and he watches this final episode. Mr. Melancholy is coming. Isabel and Tara need to meet up in person. Isabel follows her voice to the same summer camp they met at, but as Isabel approaches, she hears Tara calling for help on the psychic plane. She's been buried underground. Mr. Melancholy got to her first. His henchmen capture Isabel, cutting out her heart and storing it next to Tara's. They feed her Luna juice, which poisons her, and then Mr. Melancholy appears, telling her that she will love the Midnight Realm. As he tells her about the wonderful prison it is, he shows her images of young Owen watching a TV and standing under a parachute. Soon, she won't remember anything, not even that she's dying. Isabel is buried alive.
Yeah, this is when I no longer had questions. This is when I bought it wholesale. This was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cool. And like if you look at what is inside the snow globe, it is truly like the first times we see Owen. It's like exactly the same framing from that first shot in the movie when he is first seeing the Pink Opaque trailer.
Which, just for us, the audience, is the birth of Owen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, Owen thinks that he had memories before that. He does not. That is when the movie started, so that is when the prison started for Isabel.
Yeah.
Can I throw an idea out there?
Absolutely, please do.
Literally just occurred to me. I love, David, your idea that this is essentially our birth of Owen. You know, Owen's mother later says, after he says, I want to go to Johnny Link's house, she says, you haven't been friends with Johnny Link in a really long time. Well, we know that if we are going with this idea that Owen's life really begins when he first sees that trailer for the Pink Opaque, Johnny Link's name is kind of significant because it is forming a link between this fabrication of reality and true reality, and it's only accessible by watching the Pink Opaque, connecting with Maddie, linking with her.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
That's smart.
If that's a real thing, if that's a real grab, I think that's really cool.
I think so. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Doug, what do you think?
This fucked me up.
Go on. I want to hear more.
Just like, and I didn't understand what was going on sort of literally in the fantastical world that was being explained to me the first time I was seeing this. But describing the description of soon you won't remember anything, your real name, your superpowers, your heart, you won't even remember that you're dying, and they bury her alive, and then it just ended forever. And you see her with like this blue Luna juice pouring out of her mouth. Like it fucked me up in the way that I was thinking about like all the people who do just kind of bury themselves and sort of kill who they are over time and forget. God, it's like affecting me now even, like just to think about it. It's probably the part of the movie that really like hit me immediately in some type of way. Because I think it's really devastating to think about that and how it relates to the real world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that if you read stories from people who have queer lived experience as trans, they will tell you that their life was suffocating, and we are literally dealing with a character who is suffocating to death because they are trapped underground. And I mean, I think that even if you're not having a trans experience, I think queer lived experience is about when I cannot be the person that I know that I am. It feels binding and suffocating in a way that is hard to escape.
And asking the question of like, am I? And confronting that. And how much of it did I do? How much of it am I still doing? How much of it am I capable of getting away from? You know, because like in Owen's case, there's a lot going on. I mean, Owen is trapped, but Owen is also resistant. And Owen also has these external forces. Like there's so many reasons why Owen is buried and killing himself, and they're not all just Owen, and then it's really hard to separate them from each other. So you can't just sort of like knock down one thing at a time and call it a day. Well,
but isn't that like that resonates with me? I remember thinking, well, I it would be easier for me to come out if I mean, this is like a terrible thing to think, but it's something I thought as an adolescent. It'd be easier for me to come out if my dad was dead.
Yeah.
It'd be easier for me to come out, and then I would move the goalposts. And then it was my job, and then it was this. And I think we watch Owen go through that. And my coming out is a lot different than someone who's trans coming out. Like it is. I think when you layer these things on top of each other, we just reinforce that box over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Mr. Melancholy?
Oh my
yes,
God!
Please! Oh my God, he looks horrible.
But see, here's the deal, Marilee. We have seen Mr. Melancholy. This is not the first time we've seen him, but he is this figure up in the moon. He's a little campy. This is different.
Yeah.
Boy, is he different. Like, seeing him physically in this space, he was so deeply threatening. And also, like, the way that they have that effect, like, the longer you look at him, the worse it is. And also, he licked Isabel's face at one point. It was awful, 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 awful.
Well, it goes from being this sort of, like, trip to the moon, sort of old silent film, like, practical effect, to this really, like, somehow like less practical, but feeling like it exists more in the real world monster.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think merely the fact that he's able to interact with somebody by licking their face makes it feel so much more like threatening literally, but also threatening just like being in the same space. Like there's no separation anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's not just like the moon has a face. No, this is a man with the moon as a face.
That is growing and deteriorating, and we see it become like David, I think, or I forgot who just said it, but just about like we go from like this campy vision of Mr. Melancholy being the moon. And just like you said, Doug, it is like a trip to the moon kind of face. And then his minions too seem very like rip-offs of Mac Tonight, the old McDonald's mascot.
Yeah.
that also
Nice.
seem like they would be at home in like Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps. And as the picture quality transitions from being kind of pixelated, having that sort of staticky effect, that CRT sort of filter, that shifts away from the world of the pink opaque to Owen's world, they become so much more visceral and physical. And as you just said, like with the licking, it feels much more threatening, but also like putting the hearts away in the industrial fridge, the juice, that the Luna juice that's like leaking out and everything. It's so incredibly uncomfortable, and it's so visceral. And if we're talking about someone who is being punished through gender dysmorphia, being reminded of the physicality of not just your body but also the oppressor's body, I can't imagine anything worse. Like, this is truly a worst case scenario type of nightmare for a woman being detransitioned. It's such a nightmare.
And if we're talking color, David, the sort of like baby blue Luna juice is not lost, I think, on probably a lot of people. She's like barfing up blue Luna juice, whatever the fuck that's supposed to be.
That looked like it was like a like an old like grape juice box.
Yeah.
Like a Welch's. Yeah.
I didn't get that it was blue. That does actually add a nice little layer for me, but I did get that it was viscous. And, I mean, that communicated very well.
Tyler, you seem to recognize the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. I seem to maybe remember. Did that clown also drool some sort of like blue slime or something? Or did I just make that more horrifying?
Yeah, no, you were right. You were right.
Okay.
But also, like, I think just like a lot of those like kids horror shows back in the day really went in on the practical special effects because, you know, they couldn't afford CGI, and CGI was really nascent at the time. So the best thing to do was be practical. And I've always felt, and I think this is something that's very popular in horror circles, is that the physical special effects are so much more uncomfortable than the CGI stuff because it's so much more real. Like, I can't rewatch John Carpenter's The Thing because it's just too gross to me. Like seeing this and then seeing the horrible nightmare realities made real, it's just like, it's extremely effective. And I love that Schoenbrunn did this. And also just like, as I said, like the CRT sort of filter, that staticky quality overlay transitioning over onto Owen, and we've seen Owen's mixture of revulsion and horror and realization. It's wonderfully done. It's extremely emotionally disturbing.
Yeah. So Schoenbrunner has spoken about this and did base the Luna juice on the character, the ghastly grinner from Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Shut the fuck up.
Are you
one
serious?
episode of that show I've seen is relevant to this conversation in a very literal way.
Very
That's
literal. And
ridiculous.
they talked about it because it freaked them out as a kid and always stuck with them because the grinner would make people laugh until they started expelling this blue goo.
Wow.
Did you just Google that right now?
I had the article still in my saved files from all the research we did for the pod. So I just pulled it back up, the interview. And I just know that there was somebody shouting at their podcast listening device that they knew the name of this person. And I just want to say, hi, Derek.
So while the credits roll on the episode, Owen gasps for air. His father hears the smoke detector going off and comes downstairs to find Owen with his head in the TV. His father violently pulls him out while Owen tries to get back in. The TV itself, by the way, is exploding right now.
Yeah, it's like on fire.
Yeah. His father forces him into a hot shower as Owen screams that this isn't his home, that the man holding him isn't his father, and he vomits up a vivacious liquid, which eventually becomes static. Owen looks at himself in the mirror and is resolute. He leaves his home to go to the high school and Maddie.
He throws up the little juice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that it's really interesting that when Maddie left, her TV was found in her backyard, having blown up in a similar way that we see Owen's back. Like, when she left, her connection to the pink opaque through this television also exploded in a very similar way. I don't know what it means, but I do think it's interesting.
he's trying to in this moment enter back into the pink opaque. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like he thinks he can like, and maybe I don't know. He's like the TV scene is so haunting because however it actually works versus how he thinks it works, like almost doesn't matter because he's
Right.
in this busted, sparking on fire TV screen head first. It's so rough. And then to have his dad violently take him out of it, you know, whether he would have been successful or not, like the image is still there of his dad pulling him away from the pink opaque and trying to wash off of him any remnant of what might have gotten on him from even attempting, you know, is like so violent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. It's just the screaming too is.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's rough.
Is this? I see a note here. Is this?
Yes.
Who are those guys?
Yeah, when he leaves the house, that's Danny Tamborelli and Michael Morona, who are Pete and Pete from the show Pete and Pete that we described earlier. These are the original actors from that Nickelodeon show of the 90s. But they are just listed as Neighbor 1 and Neighbor 2 in the credits. This is another nod to the magical nature of the film, that the characters that you see in this world are from television. They exist within a television capacity, and they are supposed to contribute to your overall surreal experience.
But
it's very effective.
It totally works in being unsettling and surreal, but they don't appear anywhere else in the movie, right?
Nope.
I like scrubbed. I was like, am I missing who I'm supposed to know who these people are from the text I am consuming? And I'm glad to hear the answer is no.
Yeah.
You are
So,
not.
David,
I feel much better about it being metatextual and just not knowing the reference.
Great.
Thank
you so much.
It is also textual though, because that has me thinking like the popsicle scene that we encountered earlier in the movie is that actually also played by Danny Tamborelli and Michael Morona?
But that's what I
It is
went back
not.
to check
It is
first,
not.
and it's not that.
It is not.
So I
was my
think
thought
it
too.
is. In that case, it is like metatextual knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you know who they are, then you know who they are. Otherwise, it's two dudes standing outside. But, David, color alert, they are bathed in pink in that scene.
Oh, fun!
Yes.
Yay!
Yes, so
well, that
I
means
think-
that means that they're heroes. They're protagonists.
I do think actually that is what that implication is that this is a sign from the pink opaque that Owen is on the right track. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going, Owen.
That's so interesting because like I didn't know like the reference, and so I just saw those two guys standing outside Owen's house. I thought that was weird and unsettling. So to know that they're like good guys is wild.
Well, I think it's. I think it is I think it's unsettling, and at the same time, I think it is a sign that the pink opaque even is something. You know, like these sort of characters that are out of place and bathed in pink light. Even if they don't say anything and you don't know what to do with them, and they are kind of threatening at first because you're like, why are these kind of bullyish looking dudes standing outside
Just
my house?
staring at him.
Yeah.
But I think the pink light is probably supposed to be.
Yeah,
clue.
I was confused as to why they were pink. And so now I know, and like I'm putting the pieces together. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Doug, I'm so glad that they gave you bully vibes, because when I first saw them, I was like, oh my god, these are the kids from Dogma, the like scary kids with like hockey sticks from Dogma.
I mean, this movie starts in the 90s with a 90s TV show, and like I feel like that's how you address a couple of kids picking on, your protagonist in the 90s. So.
well,
Yeah,
that's
very
actually
Bulk and Skull.
that's actually what's really cool is because that's how the characters Pete and Pete dressed on the event.
Oh.
Of Pete and Pete.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's funny.
yeah, because
They
Pete
do
and
look
Pete,
like
I
Pete
think,
and
took
I mean, it's
place.
like it fits perfectly with the aesthetic of the time. It's not out of place.
Yep, exactly. So I love that. That was really cool.
That's cool.
It's great.
Well, in the school, Maddie is standing in the inflatable planetarium. She tells Owen all about the journey she's been on. She may have escaped the town she knew would kill her, but something was still wrong. Time wasn't right. It was moving too fast, like chapters skipped over on a DVD. After her 22nd birthday, she paid a burnout kid $50 to bury her alive. One part of her thought that it was crazy, but another part of her knew that it was necessary for her survival. After being buried, Maddie felt herself starting to leave herself, like watching herself on TV as she was clawing her way up to the surface. She emerged at the sleepaway camp in the pink opaque. She is not Maddie Wilson. She is Tara. But she couldn't find Isabel. Mr. Melancholy had hidden her too well. Tara found their hearts still beating, but she left them, knowing that she wasn't ready yet. And Tara bravely returned to the Midnight Realm to come back and save Isabel so that the show can continue and that they can get to season 6.
This is no amount of summarizing, and this is not I think you know this, David. No amount of summarizing can capture even remotely what she does in this scene. It's like a 5-minute monologue.
It's so good.
It's incredible.
One take.
And
one
I think
take. Oh,
she did it in one take.
Oh my God.
Like 4 minutes of it is in one take. That's why when I read these things like, oh, it's not a horror movie, a 4-minute take is horrifying. Like, not even to like filming it is horrifying, but like watching it is very unsettling.
Yeah.
I think this scene, Marilee, like I have not forgotten your question from the very beginning, which is like, how could you not see these sort of like literal things? How could you not see it as text? And I think if you're resistant already, or if you're struggling already, I think this scene is where you're lost. I think this would lose somebody who's resistant to what's going on. I think this would lose somebody who is really struggling to sort of get through some of the more like dense parts of this movie, because one, it is really long, but it's great. I mean, that's not a criticism, but it is really long, and it's doing like at least two things, but so many things throughout those 4 minutes, because it's doing like a massive like lore dump on like the actual literal sort of events of the interaction between the Pink Opaque and the Midnight Realm and where she's been and what she's been doing. But then it also includes so much of that stuff that like if you cut out the lore stuff, there's so much truth still in what she's saying that applies to the real world. And again, I can't do it justice without reading the whole thing, and none of us are going to do that because it takes forever. Nope. But like little things like where she says like, I said to myself, this is crazy, but another part of me knew it wasn't, that it was survival and I didn't have much time. Then after I don't know how long, I started to leave myself. Then there's the moment where she like changes the planetarium from constellations to like fully fleshed illustrations, and the very first thing she says after that is, and then I was clawing my way up out of the ground. A lot of these things are the kind of things that you could put into a perfectly grounded real movie and still pull the same truth out. So I think this is probably, if they weren't lost, I feel like this is where some folks got lost, which is really a bummer, because I feel like if you can revisit this, if you were somebody who felt lost and were listening to us to try to help figure it out, one, welcome, I love you so much. Two, go back and just watch this 4 minutes and really like pause if you're getting caught up. Like pause and read what she's saying on the screen or listen to. I transcribed the whole thing so that I wouldn't miss anything, because it's like that good and that important for every layer of this movie like is strengthened and like fleshed out by what she does here.
And I think that like there's a lot of really important callbacks in this scene. Because remember, in the show, Tara is this expert demonologist. So, like, of course she's able to figure out what is going on, because, like, that is her whole thing. She knows how demons work, and, like, the Midnight Realm is this whole demonic thing. And also, if you remember, when Maddie is first explaining the show to Owen, she specifically says that the lore is so dense, it's not really a kid's show. And, like, that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of complicated stuff happening here. And if you are not paying attention to the lore of it all, you could get lost.
And it's so artsy-fartsy that I'm sure some people are inclined just to be sort of like, this is abstract art, so I must find the meaning and ignore the art, you know? But no, like that's exactly it, Marilee. Like she says at the top, like so it's not for kids. There's like a ton of shit you would just miss if you were just looking at the flashy costumes and the I don't know, monochromatic suits and rubber suited monsters and robot mechazords or whatever. Not that I have experience with any of this or anything.
See? Oh, that's so wonderful. I think like I want to talk about Lindy Payne's performance just a little bit more too, because
incredible.
As we've just yes, of course it's incredible, but I think it also works so well because, as David said, because this is such a long take, it's also very unnerving. But I think also the dialogue she's expressing, her performance of it, is very unnerving because she's so fucking intense. And the things that she's describing sound kind of like illogical, What do you mean you let yourself get buried by by a burnout kid for $50? Like,
Yeah.
are you insane? Like, why the fuck would you do that? And clearly you must have had some sort of oxygen deprivation while you were in your coffin underground, which is why you think you are coming from the pink opaque. Really, you're like a crazy person. And I think that's written all over Owen's face after she finishes up this incredible speech. And so, like, I'm going to talk about this in our next, like, plot synopsis, but, like, God, like, I love Maddie so much, and it would work. This conversation is so beautiful, but I don't think it's what Owen needs to hear in terms of the packaging of the message. Like, the message, I think, is critical in its truth, but I think Owen is not going to be receptive to it, and I wish Maddie could have seen that.
Well, and I think we see that, right?
Yes.
Like, Owen does not respond well to it, and if you are if you are only buying into Owen's perspective, you aren't buying into it either. So, like, I totally see what you're saying, Tyler, where, you know, she's telling truth, but, like, she's not equipped or not, like, doesn't have the time, maybe, like you said, Marilee, to really, like, get it to Owen the way that Owen needs to have it delivered.
Yeah.
I wonder, you know, in the pink opaque, Tara and Isabel have a psychic connection, so they're able to communicate more effectively mind to mind. And in this midnight realm, they only have to use their words. I wonder if that is why the meaning is getting lost between the two of them, because they don't have access to the pink opaque, their psychic connection.
That's so interesting.
I like that thought a lot.
I do too.
Because the fact that this is like a 4-minute thing, it does end up kind of coming across, when you don't stop and look at everything, as just like a big rambling sort of mess of communication.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I would also say, Tyler, is I don't disagree with the packaging thing, but I think if I had a limited amount of time to save your life as my friend who I love, I would be throwing every Hail Mary pass in my arsenal.
100%.
And
yes.
I think
Absolutely.
I think that's where Maddie's at, or where Tara is at.
I absolutely agree with that. 100%. Totally agree. But unfortunately, I think that is the tragedy of the story.
And that is the tragedy of a queer lived experience, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's the horror of the film.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't make someone accept something if they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
And like that, Owen can't accept it. He has memories of his childhood, but Tara tells him that those memories are a distraction. He tells her that this isn't the Midnight Realm, it's just the suburbs. Tara tells him that they need to go back into the soil tonight. The longer they wait, the closer they will get to suffocating. She has gotten everything ready. 2 holes dug outside where no one will find them. Owen has a glimpse of a memory where he was walking in the dress we saw before and smiling. They walk on the football field to the 2 holes that Tara has dug, but Owen pushes her down and runs away. He runs home to the loud TV program his father is always watching, but his father isn't there.
Ugh, the noise is so oppressive.
Yeah.
This is where the Drain Lords thing really pays off.
Yeah,
Right.
So I have a thing here. So, like, the Drain Lords get mentioned 3 times in a classic rule of threes, because you have that verse trailer, you have in the written form, and then here. And it really reinforces the fact that you simply cannot ignore your problems into going away. And, like, it's effective in a fantasy, but in this real moment, it doesn't.
And I love the sort of complicated nature of how that gets into Owen's sort of approach. Because, like, in the fantasy world that Owen believes is a TV show, there are monsters whose literal powers require you not to think about them. And so if you internalize that as a truth and then allow that to mutate into something you apply to your real life, then, like, that's going to cause problems like this one. And I think it's really smart to have had that be where it comes from and have it start from a place of truth and then turn into something that's actually kind of dangerous.
We love a rule of 3.
Mm-hmm. I think in this scene in particular, we know how close Owen was to his mother. And I think when he says, I remember my mom, and then Tara says that that's a distraction from Mr. Melancholy, I think that's actually where things go terribly wrong. Because Owen gets very emotional here, and that makes me emotional. But, you know, if Owen's mother was also that connection to the pink opaque, and it was like this lingering thing, this source of love that he could rely on to make him feel comfortable. If Tara says that's a trick from Mr. Melancholy, I think Owen immediately is going to go on the defensive. And I think that's part of why he literally pushes Tara away. Because, like, how can she be telling the truth if his mother was not real? And what is that love not real that he experienced? And so I think that's part of what makes everything that happens after this so sad.
Yeah.
And I imagine that if Tara and Isabel were characters that could interact with each other more in person in the TV show The Pink Opaque or whatever, I feel like a lot of like storytelling conflict would result from exactly that, where Tara is sort of knowledgeable business demonology, like let's do this, and Isabel is clearly sort of scared or insecure or needs more time to figure out the approach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Scared of what's inside of her is what we learned from Maddie from the first act.
It's a very Buffy Faith situation.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I was thinking also like Tara is kind of like a combination of Buffy and Giles.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At the same time. Because like she is the expert on demonology. She's the one who's dispensing all the lore. That's what Giles' job was on Buffy. But Giles was also very notorious for being like very stately and British and keeps all of his emotions to himself until later in the show. God, I loved Buffy. But yeah, like I think that's such a great pull as well, that Tara is kind of like the more logical thinking one, and then Isabel is more in touch with her emotions, even if those emotions are like fear and all that.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So Owen locked himself inside his home for days. Tara never showed up to force him underground. Owen tells us that he never saw her again. As Owen narrates that he made the right choice, we see that only one hole remains dug on the football field. But Owen does wonder, what if he really was someone else? Someone beautiful and powerful, someone suffocating to death? He convinces himself it was fantasy, kid stuff. The next fall, the movie theater closed, and Owen's manager got him a job at the Fun Center. His father passed away, and Owen tells us that time passes so quickly. He decides to stay in the house and become a man, a real adult. As he holds a new TV to move into the house, he tells us that he even got a family of his own. He loves them more than anything.
Ugh! Oh my god. That's a gut punch. Gut punch. The way that he looks into the camera and says that. Because you know it's killing him. It's killing him.
The way he looks away from the camera after he says it is what killed me, because it is such a slow sort of turn off into the like distance and just like a completely empty look, right? Like he thought he convinced us, and then we saw like, no, buddy.
No.
Yeah.
No. God, awful.
I also, where he says I kept waiting for her to come back to force me underground, but she never did. That really, like, that's so sad, because, like, he now knows she's gone. She's not coming back. And now all he's left to do is wonder, like, should I have done that? And, like, if she could have just made me, right? Why didn't she just make me do it? Like, he's going through all these sort of, like, versions of regret, I feel like, in just those moments, and then has to go into this sort of coping mode where he, decides like, okay, well, she can't force me to do it and I can't do it, and so now I just have to move on and charge forward and do all the right stuff. Mm-hmm. Just like completely suppresses that thought. I know she says I know he says I kept waiting, but I feel like that was hoping. I feel like he was hoping for her to come back.
Yeah. Agreed.
I do like that when he narrates that it was all fantasy kid stuff, that's when we get the pan over the sidewalk art that reads "There is still time," like a note that is in Maddie's handwriting that we have seen before.
Yeah,
that's also something so important that once we get through the whole movie, I have a big old question about.
Me too. I have an answer, but it's my answer. It's not your answer. It could be your answer. Tyler, is this family real?
I don't think they are.
I don't think they are.
Why didn't we see
Babes,
him?
it's the television. It's the television. He's holding it. He's like hugging the television. That's his family.
He likes TV shows.
Hello. Thank you.
Ugh, God. Brutal.
Inside the house, Owen tells us about starting the Pink Opaque. It's the same story he gave us at the start of the narrative of the film. It's available for streaming now, though, so he doesn't even need a disc. But the show isn't what he remembered. He watches an episode, but it's childish. It's dated and not scary at all. And as Owen watches, he wheezes, struggling to draw breath.
I think the people who are insistent that this movie is primarily or solely about nostalgia are letting this moment carry a lot of weight. This is doing a lot of work for that argument.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and why believe this is true and not the other version of the Pink Opaque is true?
I think that is such a fantastic question. I alluded to Power Rangers earlier when I was talking about Zords and all that sort of stuff. But like, I do think the first time I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, no, that rings true, right? You take something very seriously as a child and then you go back and revisit and you realize it wasn't that serious. That was the first sort of thought I had about it. But I actually think it's like more layered than that. And I think this is really, really sad. I don't think what's sad is that the show you cared about is actually silly. I think what's sad is that you think it's silly. I think this thing that was so important to you and that you learned so much from and that really made you feel like you belonged somewhere or connected to something. And I think in the context of this movie, what the Pink Opaque represents just magnifies that to 1,000. I think it's really sad when people trash their own interests as a child or like try to distance themselves from things that were meaningful to them. Like when you're a kid, different things matter and that doesn't make them matter less, you know? It's sort of like when people poke fun at somebody's like first heartbreak and you're like, well, you're 12 years old. You're like, no, that is like the most important thing to them. And like, I would hate for you to downplay that later in life because you probably learned a lot from it. And I think that's the same with a lot of like entertainment people connect with as kids. I think it makes them feel big and important and like intelligent to like trash that stuff. And I think in this case, Owen, I think is coping by doing that. I think he's looking at it and being like, oh, it was silly. It probably wasn't important to begin with. And I think he thinks he's sad about that, but I think it's really a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
I love that.
Agree. That's a really incredibly smart take on that.
So all you nostalgia people, think about that.
Yeah, think about that.
I mean, it is about nostalgia. I'm not saying it's not, but it's about many things.
I also think that you watch this streaming version and it doesn't look like a 90s TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Does it? It does not look like a 90s TV show. It doesn't have... We have told the visual style of the Pink Opaque throughout this film.
Yeah.
It's a little grainy. It's got this texture to it, and this looks like it was filmed digital. And that tells a story to an audience who's keen to see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is such a good point.
Yeah, I think it's also like the way that he talks about like you don't even need a disc. And like the fact that he threw out in like the previous scene, his old television has this new HD modern one. Like he's lost the physicality. And so of course this new version of the Pink Opaque is less real because you can't touch it.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
You literally can't touch it. You can't hold the VHS or the DVD.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about this detail too. After the television and the look and right before he watches the show and has all these sort of feelings about it, that's where he says, or he like pours out the fire and then says, anyway, as I was saying, it's like, oh no, you're lost. We've lost you.
Yeah. No, like he's gone back to earlier in the script.
Mm-hmm. I think there's also something to be said here too about taking a piece of pop culture that was really daring and braved and aimed at young people and then turning it into something that's like safe and wholesome instead.
Oh, sure.
This isn't necessarily like that we're watching a reboot of the Pink Opaque, but it is operating on a similar level that is, to David's point, very anti-capitalist when presented to us in this way, because it's like we talk about this now, like at the time of this recording, they're talking about wanting to have super fans come give feedback to like Star Wars and Marvel shows and Lord of the Rings and all this other crap. And they're just going to say the worst stuff that's not brave or challenging or daring. They just want action figures to go play for a little bit and then go back in the box. And that to me is really relevant here because watching this version of the Pink Opaque it is made to be lower quality. It's made to be a little bit sillier. The plot is not serious. And that feels like how capitalism can be very fascistic and a weapon of heteronormativity, because we are taking something that was very, very, very important to young people growing up, especially young queer people, and instead they're just showing like, actually, it's silly. It's a kid's show. Why did you ever take this seriously to begin with? You should focus on something else that's more important. And here's a reminder for you, served up on a silver platter. And it's sad, and it's just, again, Mr. Melancholy. He is kind of like the hand of the heteronormative ideology at work here that is making it so that this thing that felt very subversive has been turned into something safe.
Yeah.
And think about how many queer people find other queer people through fandom.
Absolutely.
So, like, to then take that and then discount it or to distance yourself from it is like a really sad thing to do if that was part of your experience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in the episode he watches, we watch the ice cream episode, and we watch a young girl solve the problem, and how she solves the problem is that the ice cream man should just sell soup in the winter. So the answer to the problem is capitalism, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
and
this
to be somebody that you're not.
Yep.
Yeah. He's
this
a literal
film
ice
works.
cream man with like an ice cream head.
Selling soup to him would be dangerous, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do also want to note that like the text, like if you have the closed caption on, the young girl with the pink opaque, is labeled fake Tara.
Also how she's listed in the credits.
The subtitles are really doing a lot right there. That's one of those things. Derek and I will sometimes complain about this when we're talking about something where something's meant to be ambiguous, but then the captions give away whether something is actually ambiguous or not. And I don't know that this matters as much, because at least for the four of us, we're kind of seemingly all on the same page. But if you were sort of unsure, if you were sort of in the camp of ambiguity, like that would be kind of a death blow to some of the theories, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, but like they call her fake Tara, and if you look at her, she very much does not have the description that Maddie gave about Tara earlier. Do you think this small child with braces is badass and hot? No, she's not.
Maybe someone's formative crush, but not Maddie's.
No. So, I just think that it's very telling in a way, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know what it's saying, but it's definitely saying something.
I think it's saying a lot. I think you nailed it.
So it's 20 years later, and older Owen is still working at the fun center, replenishing balls in the ball pit. He looks older than he should be and drained of life. He tries to use his inhaler, but it is empty. Owen's coworkers, including his manager, who has not aged, sing happy birthday, but in the corner, Owen screams for help. He is dying right now. The guests freeze in place and do not react. Owen feebly apologizes and then screams for his mother. Gut-wrenching.
Brutal.
This might have been the worst thing I've seen on screen in a very long time.
Yeah, this was very scary.
Yeah. I just, like, all of the other people in this scene for when this is happening, they kind of just, they look down and they're like, it looks like they're powered down automatons in some way.
Absolutely.
And it's just, they literally can't perceive what's happening in some way. And that, horrifying to be in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
The screaming, "You need to help me, I'm dying right now," especially connected back to when they describe, burying oneself and killing oneself and all that sort of stuff. I was like, oh God, this is like, it's like round 2 of punch me directly in the face. It's like so rough. And it's important because, like, he knows, like, for him to be screaming this, like, some part of him still knows,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's always known.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's unreasonable. And, I worked in mental health space. I have watched people be stunned by outbursts before, because we are just not equipped to have somebody deviate that much from the social norm. And I think the metatextual reading on this is that queer outburst read by the society is just unpalatable. And that is what leaves Owen in this apologetic state. I'm so sorry, and it's all he can say.
Oh God. Yeah. I just agree with what everyone said. I didn't really write anything down in this part about the notes because it's just like, what can you do with this? This is such like an emotional outburst, like David said. Like, we're not really equipped with that, but it's also just such like a sense of desperation, and there's also a point where like we're walking past a machine, and I think it's actually like the cash machine or something, and it says "You are dying" in like a red crawl on top of the machine.
Are you serious?
And
atop the cash machine.
And a lot of the arcade machines in games have names of Pink Opaque references on them.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting choice as well.
I think.
Well, and the ones that do not, Doug, are all about capitalism. They are all about getting tickets or getting prizes or getting money.
You have like that money hurricane.
But I think that's actually like, I think seeing those arcade machines that are Pink Opaque related are also artifacts of consumerism and capitalism, because it's taking something that was good and aimed at queer people and subversive, and instead has been commodified. And perhaps there was like a Pink Opaque reboot, or there's one in the future, but it's going to be hot shit. But people will eat that shit up, and it's not at all like what the original was, but it's this very generic cookie cutter sort of thing that kids will love, but it's not doing anything interesting with it. So I think that's part of it. And I think that also speaks to like our millennial experience of taking these things that we really loved in our childhood and seeing them be rebooted, repackaged, re-released, remastered, all this other stuff. And it's just like, I'm being bought and sold my own heart basically. And it's rough. Everything about this is just horrible. Everything, these last 5 minutes are the most dread-inducing like scenes I have seen in a very long time.
It's good. So
You're
good.
spiritually throwing up fire ants. Like, that is what the feeling is. Like, it's just awful to watch this. And like, there's this crawling. It hurts. You feel for Owen so deeply here.
I think anyone, this is something that always sticks to me in movies, but whenever I'm watching a movie where a character is crying out for their mother as an adult and it's played very seriously and straight, that always shakes me way more than like some other scenes will, like, because it just indicates how badly, desperately they are in need of help. And for Owen, especially with his mother being the only real connection that he had to love before he met Maddie, it's hard. It's very, very difficult to watch. Especially because then we also get focus on like Owen's lips, and they're like really dry and cracked, and just, oh God, it's so awful.
Yeah.
In the next scene, Owen's manager knocks on the bathroom door where Owen lays dying on the floor, emaciated. He cuts open his chest, and inside is the light of static and electricity. While Owen gasps for air, he smiles at the sight. Laboring with each breath he takes, Owen redresses and looks at himself in the mirror. Owen staggers out of the fun center, hyperventilating and apologizing for his outburst to the partygoers. The screen cuts to black, and static plays into the credits. Doug, please walk us through this.
Yeah, start us off, man.
I mean, if anyone has anything about the details, throw them in, because I'm gonna throw a big picture thing out there.
I mean, I guess the only thing that I want to offer on the details is that watching this box cutter go into Smith's flesh, which I know is a prop. I know we're not actually cutting Justice Smith, but it is so visceral and effective. And again, it is horror movie. Like, this is what you do in horror movies, is you build props like this to give the audience a sense of surreality, and it works.
Yeah. I think also it's interesting to note that no one pays attention as he's walking out of the bathroom and apologizing. No one gives a shit. They're all just ignoring him.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Take us 10,000 feet high, though, Doug. Let's go high.
Yeah, one of the very first discussions I saw about this movie when I did start looking stuff up just in those first couple days was people trying to determine whether the end of this movie is optimistic or sort of, mired in despair or whatever. And I think, ultimately, I think what you take away from, like, the truth you take away from it is valid and something to be examined and to sort of like do something with. But I am very curious as to like how you all feel or maybe feel now, or if there's stuff in the movie you feel like points to how you are supposed to feel, and if that's aligned with what you think about what we're supposed to feel at the end of this, or what you do feel at the end of this.
Yeah. For me, it's the subtle smile that we see when Owen with his chest cut open, and the message that he received from Maddie psychically that there is still time, which I think is important for anyone who is questioning their identity, and people who come out later in their life need to know that there is still time, that no matter how big you've built the box that is around you, you can deconstruct it and you can get out of it. And so I left the movie with hope because of that.
I
like that a lot.
I do too. I immediately thought that this was a bad ending, like a sad ending, a tragic ending. I thought Owen opening up his shirt, seeing the static inside, smiling, and then immediately getting dressed back up and walking out of there apologizing to people indicated that this was essentially what happens to trans people when they are not allowed to transition because of fear or discomfort or whatever else, and that trans people deserve the world as a result.
Trans people do deserve the world, so
I think, based off of the conversations that we've had and more time that I have spent thinking about it, I do think it is more optimistic, because I'm going with what David said, that there is still time. So yeah, I'm more on the side that Owen can do it. Owen's going to do it.
Yeah.
So, like all tragedies, I knew what was going to happen, right? But when Owen cut into himself and saw that TV glow, like, part of me was like, maybe this time things will be different. And then it isn't. And he goes out and he starts apologizing and stuff. There is still time. I hope that things will be different. I want there to be things to be different. But like that, I knew what was going to happen beforehand because I'm a chronic Wikipedia summary reader of the movie. Like that's what I do. If I can't see a movie, I will find someone to spoil it for me and I will read the whole thing. And so like I knew that the film ended in a gut-wrenching scene of Justice Smith apologizing to people who are not paying attention to him. I knew that was coming, and I still watched that. It was like, maybe something else could happen. Like, he's right there, he's looking, he can see it with his eyes. And then he still rejects himself immediately afterwards. Like, he knows that Isabel is inside of him, and he still chooses not to engage with that, which breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But there is still time, and I do think that is a message that the audience can take away. But like all tragedies, I don't know that anything is going to end up different in the universe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing all your introspection with me. One of the reasons I wanted to ask was because, like, I still am not totally sorted out on all of my feelings about the end. I think one thing I have sorted out is I think that the movie itself, if I'm trying to understand what the movie wants me to take away into my real world, is the big "there is still time." I think that is such a very clear detail. I think the first time I watched it, I didn't really pick up on where it was placed, but it is placed right after Owen is talking about, waiting for her to come back and how she never came back and how he never saw her again. And thinking about what if he was somebody different, but then kind of writing it off as fantasy. I hate so much that he's telling himself, I know that's not true, though. I know I can't be somebody else. That's just fantasy. Like, that hurts so hard. And I think it's really important that there is still time happens right after that, both in universe, like you were saying, David, as a sign for Maddie, but to make sure I think the audience recognizes, like, what Owen is going through is really difficult and really hard and really terrible and could happen to people and probably has happened to plenty of people watching the movie. And I'm kind of there with you, Marilee. I'm like, I don't know that I've been able to build myself up to the point where I think Owen will figure it out. Like, it's so hard. There's so many things that were obstacles for Owen that are no longer part of the picture. And he's still really holding on to certain things that I'm like, buddy, I want you to figure it out, and I want you to be where you think you could be, but I don't know in universe. But I do think the movie wants us to believe that could happen at the very least.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think
Yeah.
as an audience member, you're supposed to feel optimistic or at least empowered. But I think where I get confused is just sort of like, what happens next? And I love an ambiguous ending. I love that we are not told what Owen does next. I think that's really important in a lot of stories. But it means that I'm still thinking about it, and I'm not sure what I believe is next.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's the most important part of the art, is that you are still thinking about it.
Totally.
Because I think when I think in 10 years, if we do a retrospective on this film, what we're going to remember is the people, like the most popular review on Letterboxd is somebody writing about coming out because they watched this movie.
Yeah, and I think the ambiguity on this one, I think you're right, David, is one of the most important things that allows for that legacy to be real. Because if we did see what happened next, it kind of punctuates the possibilities for anybody who is taking that away from this movie, right? So like, if Owen definitively has a happy ending or definitively has a not happy ending, I think that doesn't totally close the door, but I think the door is less open for any given person to see themselves in Owen and recognize like, Owen still has a choice at the end of this movie. I also still have a choice. I'm not being told what the choice is, but I'm being told I have it. I'm being told I have the choice. And I think that's a really cool way to end this. And I'm so glad that there are so many people who are talking about, you know, finally sort of seeing themselves in a way that made sense.
Yeah. And I am not a director. I'm not that level of an artist, but I do think that when you make art and you have a queer identity, part of the art you make is about trying to make the world a little bit better for people who have been through experiences like you that are hard. And I have to believe that the director does want to save trans people's lives. And I think that they did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, it means so much to me that like the people watching this film and it has like provably improved their lives because they are able to, you know, become themselves. 'Cause what we get to leave with is that there is still time to become yourself. Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing else to say.
We've said a lot.
Yeah. Great movie.
A ton.
Yeah, and any other final thoughts for this episode, or anything you wanted to point out, or any other conversations that you want to have?
Tyler, I see your note here is that you're never watching this again, but I would encourage you to watch it again, if only to look that the moon never appears in the sky.
Are you serious?
That's a great point.
Except for Mr. Melancholy, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Yes, so I said in my notes, beautiful. I think I'm okay never watching this again. I probably will. But it also goes up there among the lists of movies that you probably see once and you're good. Similar to like Requiem for a Dream. I think I'm okay. I would like to see this again, but I'm also okay not watching it again. Because I also feel like I had like a really valuable experience watching this movie once. And so I don't know. But also we've had such an interesting conversation about it. So I don't know. We'll see. I would love to watch this with like other queer people as a thing. And Marshall, my partner, actually did not see this movie yet. I told them that they have to basically have like a silverware drawer full of spoons if they want to have the energy to watch this movie.
Real.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I'd highly encourage you to like, we're recording this way before anybody else is going to hear it. I can't wait to, when this episode drops, watch the movie again and then listen to our conversation on it.
True. Yeah,
that'll be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this one. This is easily one of my favorite movies I've watched this year.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to compare episode guides about your own favorite niche TV shows, come find us at Fear Coded Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Doug, if folks want to hear more of you and follow your social media, where can folks find you online and all of the great things that you're getting up to?
Yeah, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Ikkybooley, ICKYBOOLEY. I think I've mostly got everything under that username, and it doesn't mean anything. So if you search for that, it's probably me. You also can find most of the things I'm doing, if not really all the things I'm doing at this point, at Glitterjaw. And that's just at Glitterjaw everywhere except Instagram, I think, which is Glitterjaw Pods. And you can listen to the shows I'm doing, like Walloping Web Snappers every week. That's a Spider-Man deep dive podcast. There's also a Patreon where we do comics and movies and stuff like that. Screonk, which is the Godzilla podcast I mentioned earlier, where I have never really seen Godzilla movies outside like the 4 that most mainstream people have seen. And so Derek, my co-host, has been walking me through kind of becoming a Godzilla fan, and it's paying off. I'm having conversations at work where people are like, what's that one Godzilla movie? I'm like, well, let me tell you, actually. So that's been like a ton of fun, and we've had some extremely cool guests on that and some really great conversations. And then Novel Gaming, which is the show where we do books and video games alternating. So we have a book club once a month. If you like accountability to reading books, that could be helpful. And that comes out twice a month. And I'm probably forgetting something. I don't know. There's too much to say. So find me on Twitter, and I'll tweet about what I'm doing.
Here's the other pitch I want to make to Novel Gaming, because there are people in my social group who don't actually like horror movies. They just listen to the Scared and Prepared part of our podcast, and then they stop it, and they don't listen anymore. And I love you all. Thank you so much. You can listen to what Doug and Katie are listening to, watching, reading, and thinking about. And if you don't want to engage with the game that they're playing or the book that they're reading, you can choose to not go on. I will tell you, they are a very addictive personality, so you're probably going to stay and listen. But just to my expat friends who seem to stop podcasts right after the beginning, there's another one for you.
Thank you so much for saying that. One, because you're extremely complimentary. But two, yeah, we have tried to assure people that just because we have a book club episode doesn't mean that's the only thing we're talking about. So the first 20 minutes or so of every episode is typically spoiler-free talk about just stuff we like. So it's recommendations on books, video games, TV shows, movies, all kinds of media we're consuming. So thank you.
And if you are like me and a chronic Wikipedia of media pieces, you should know that like Doug and Katie talk about things like holistically, and then they will go through stuff. You do not need to be familiar with the book or video game or anything in order to enjoy their conversations. I love listening to Novel Gaming, and
thank you. I can't wait for Katie to hear this. They will love all of this. And I do too, of course.
Well, just like all the things that Doug is on, this podcast is a proud part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. If you'd like to listen to other queer media podcasts, check out the full roster of shows at glitterjaw.com. And join us next time as we celebrate the Yuletide season with a call coming from inside a house full of sorority girls in the 1974 cult classic Black Christmas. But for now, we will all say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.